Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another season, another edition here of the RSL, the Rival StarCraft League Season 6 of 2026, the Americas Server Qualifier. I'm of course your VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players and by the people in chat as well. Welcome one and all. We are here, we are back, we are live, and I do apologize for the delayed start. I do apologize here as we did have, unfortunately, a walkover in the first round. Let's go over the bracket itself. Let's go. Here we go. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look by yourselves. Again, the bracket is a little bit smaller, a little bit sweeter here, and we already have the first round results coming in. As you mentioned previously, we were supposed to, or ideally we were planned to jump into Trigger versus Percival, but Percival did not show. We did wait over the walkover period as well, hoping that maybe he could show up, but looks like something has come up, or you know, maybe fell back asleep, you know, maybe something else. Hard to say, hard to know. We tried to reach out, but alas did not answer. So with that we are going to be getting into our qualifying match. So when it comes to the bracket itself, we have ByuN, Mapu, Trigger, Percival, Cure, Falling Ninja, Zoun, and Silver BV. So a lot of Protoss, a lot of Terran going to be facing off here in this small bracket. And remember, it's top 2 advance on. Top 2 players will advance on into the main event. So here already in the semis, these are best of 5 qualifying matches. So ByuN takes on Mapu 2-0. Trigger gets a walkover win over Percival. And that means we have ByuN versus Trigger in a best of 5 series here between ByuN and Trigger. Winner of that series will be a part of RSL Season 6. The loser is knocked out of the qualifier and will have to try to play in another qualifier. I should also very quickly emphasize that this is the America's Server Qualifier. What does that mean? That means that if any players, if players from the Americas competed, they could prioritize, of course, their home server, and also it's a much more friendly time for the Americas players as well. But it's open to all. We could have seen Europeans stay up, but again, right now it's like, what, 3 a.m. in the morning? Like 3 a.m.? Like it's very, very late in Europe, for example, so it's at a worse time for Europeans. The European server qualifier is going to be a better time for Europeans. So again, because it's a server qualifier, it's not like region locked or region based. It's just that said server has the server advantage, and it's also at a more convenient time for players of that region. But that's why we have Korean players competing here, of course. ByuN versus Trigger, they're facing off in a qualifying match. Meanwhile, we have Cure. Cure is up against Falling Ninja. Zoun is up against Silver BV. Winner is going into another qualifying match. Let's go. Let us go. I should also emphasize as well, as videos are currently underway, that that we do have a custom map pool. The RSL, they have their own custom map pool here with some TLMC maps mixed in, like Exarch, for example, or Necropolis, for example, as well. So they do have a custom map pool, which we are going to be using for these qualifiers. Likewise, the finals of this event is going to be at BlizzCon, right? It was recently announced that because Taste Host is going to be at BlizzCon anyway for the Blizzard Cup, they've been able to strike a deal and be able to organize the RSL finals to also be at BlizzCon as well. I don't know if it's going to be the playoffs or just the finals, or just the 2 players in the finals. But that is a new kind of big feature of RSL, is offline BlizzCon finals, which is really cool. Really cool. They were able to organize that and set that up. Otherwise, we are jumping into our first game here. Vetoes are now almost done, and ByuN versus Trigger is about to begin. Let's go. And of course, Percival, unfortunately, again, did no show, but he might be able to show up for the Korean server qualifier, which is tomorrow, or the European server qualifier, which is at a really rough time. But if he's full degen, then that might be a better time for Percival. True. Clem could have turned up. Clem doesn't often show up for the Americas server qualifiers, but yeah, maybe he's a little bit preoccupied due to the previous events. Maestros of the game. There we go. Due to Maestros. Possible. So tuckered out, papi. But we have our best of 5, and of course some RSL and all tournaments are on the current version of the game. I should emphasize that there are some people that keep asking, like, oh, is it going to be in the old version? The only event that was on the old version of the game was Maestros of the game, and the rationale for that is because the entirety of the event and the group stage took place in the previous patch, so it made sense for all that to line up. That was their rationale. Outside of that, expect all tournaments to be on the current live patch. I do expect that. If not, that will be an exception, of course. So for example, RSL was on the live patch, Doyo Cup was on the live patch, Home Story Cup is going to be on the live patch, or the Open Cups as well. So do just have that expectation, and then if there's an exception, well, that would be like the exception to the rule. Otherwise, we are jumping in. Otherwise, we are getting ready here for our series. We're going to be loading into Ruby Rock. So it's at 4 a.m. Oh, there you go. 4 a.m. in the morning. It's, again, very, very late in Europe. Very, very late. So if you're out there, if you're from Europa, if you're watching, yo, get some sleep. Look after yourselves. Look after yourselves. Take care. Take care. But yes, I believe tomorrow is the Korean qualifier and the day after is the European qualifier. There's going to be one qualifier per region, per server, basically. And there are also some seeds from the previous performances from last season. So we do have some players seeded in already. And we also have some invites. Basically, at the end of all the qualifiers, Patreons from the RSL Patreon will be able to vote on who they want to be in the events. So they do open voting for their patrons. So if you want to help support the RSL, you can do so via Patreon !RSL in the chat, and you're going to link to that Patreon page so you can have your vote and have your say in regards to maps added and in regards to players competing as well. My sleep is a mess. Take care, Pappy. Take care. Take care. We've all been there, Pappy. We've all been there. All good. All good. I can watch ByuN at 4 a.m. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. No. Otherwise, we are soon to jump in. Likewise, ideally, we should be able to cover the lower semifinals, sorry, the lower qualifying match as well, one after the other. That is the hope, at least. That's the hope, that is the goal. That we are able to cover both. Likewise, I hope you all had a great weekend. I do highly recommend checking out the Doyo Cup VODs. It was a very intense week. Very intense week. We had 9-hour cast days. I think day 1 was 8 hours, day 2 was 9 hours. I think day 3 and 4 were like 6 to 7 hours each. But it was a very intense week. It was it was very draining as well. And if you noticed that I was like wearing a scarf the entire time, 1 because it's very cold, but 2 like my voice was being strained because it was so cold. So it was a rough week. It was, but we made it. We made it. I saw Sid in the chat earlier. I'm sure you can relate. Like, it's been very cold as of late here in Australia. It has not been ideal. But looks like our players are ready. Players are ready. We are jumping into game number 1. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Ruby Rock, we have the Canadian Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing Basilisk. It is a Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Terran player. We have the South Korean Terran, the blue Terran representing Shopify. It is ByuN. Let's go. Let us go. We are getting into our next series here. We're getting to our first series, our first qualifying match. Remember, the winner of the series will advance on into the main event. The loser will have to try again in the Korean qualifier, the European qualifier, or hope for the fan votes. So that is going to be the hope here for whoever does not claim this series. For now, we're selling it. And welcome to the new patch, of course. Here in the new patch, there's a lot that has been changing, of course, specifically in regards to Protoss and the Protoss mid to late game. We'll get into it here. We'll get into it. I'm curious to see how much practice Trigger has been putting into said new patch. But now, though, also welcome to Ruby Rock. Ruby Rock is a smaller map of the map, smaller map, a shorter rush distance by ground. Aggression is favored here on Ruby Rock, so shorter rush distance, you can get across the map very, very quickly here, and typically we do see a lot of early to mid-game aggression from the side of Terran players. We expect a lot of 2-base all-ins. 2-base all-ins are very common. They're very just common. They're very meta, if you will, in TVP. We'll see if ByuN does embrace that more aggressive style. We'll see if Trigger can survive said aggression. For now, single gas opener. Economic starts out of ByuN going for a faster CC. Meanwhile, Trigger across the map going for a standard opener himself. Nothing crazy, nothing wild. There's no proxy pylon. There's no shenanigans out on the map. None whatsoever, not yet. And we're still waiting to see the tech of choice, whether we go for a Twilight Council, a Stargate, or a Robo-based opener. When it comes to TVP as of late, we have been seeing a mixture of the two. We saw a lot of Stargate play during the week when it comes to to going for Oracle openers or Phoenix openers. We saw some Blink play mixed in as well, bearing in mind that during the PTR it was actually quite difficult to get into gateway aggression because of how costly it was to morph in warp gates, but that was diminished. Originally it was 50-50, 50 minerals and 50 gas to morph in a warp gate. That was diminished into 25-25, and that has meant that it is more accessible. Now what I'm most curious by, I don't think we'll experience it, I'm most curious to see how the mid to late game has changed for TVP, specifically in regards to map control and how Protoss players, they gain map control, they gain momentum, they take over the map, they can engulf everything, and then they can just send wave after wave of gateway units. Of course that is now diminished because of the gateway change, but is that really enough? Likewise, another big change of course is the pylon. We have seen in all matchups now proxy pylons are much more prevalent, and proxy pylons allow for much more aggression. The reasoning for this is because nowadays you no longer need a gateway for fast warp-ins. Now you can do fast warp-ins with just a pylon. That means, one, it's harder to scout these warp-in locations because now they take less surface area. Two, they come online much faster because you don't have to wait for a gateway to finish producing, you just have to wait for the pylon to finish producing as well. So we have seen a lot of gateway aggression in ZVP especially. I haven't casted too much TVP as of late to really see that come into play either. But there are certain things that have kind of made some things more aggressive, other things less aggressive. Like there's been some shifts here in Protoss matchups, for sure. Meanwhile, Twilight Council opener out of Trigger, going into Blink. So far so good. We'll see how many gateways he throws down. So far it's going to be 2 gate Blink, which is very greedy. We'll see if he goes for a 3rd gateway, a Robo before expanding, and even a 4th gateway as well. We'll see how dedicated Trigger is going to be on 2 bases. Adepts are looking for a way in. So far ByuN, he is keeping up. Behind this, going for his own 1-1-1 into Widowmine drop. And Trigger does poke in, does get eyes on said Widowmine, and doesn't get into the main. Okay, does not get into the main. Just poking forward. There's a Stalker. A bit of miscontrol there by Trigger. An expensive loss already here against the Widowmine. Adepts, they do pull away. Meanwhile, ByuN, he is going to be able to catch. Almost said Adept. Does zone, does pull back, and behind this, the Widowmine drop is setting up and soon to move out. So far, a better start here for ByuN. Trigger, we got to lock in. Bat. As again, the drop is amassing. Adepts, they throw in the shade. They see nothing. Here comes that drop, going for a triple Widowmine drop across the map. And how many gateways? 2? No shot. Yeah, nice catch, nice auto stepping here. The Adept does take a lot of damage. But Trigger does go 2 gate. 2 gate Blink into a very fast 3rd. This is a very greedy build here from Trigger. This is a 3rd at Nexus before Robo as well. And we'll see if Trigger can get away with it. But now though, the mine drop does come in and Trigger does have units in position. And we'll zone. There we go. Nice shot here. Gets one, just one. Jesus. Yeah, takes down one Widowmine. Another shot goes off, takes out a Stalker. At the same time, we get a 3rd Widowmine drop into the main. The boys are being pulled and the shot will connect. The retargeting. He wants to chase. Yeah, he wants to give chase, but is going to be denied. Widowmine shot does not go off. Okay, so Trigger does defend well enough. Losing 1 Stalker against 3 Widowmines, not a bad trade here for Trigger. It would have been worse if he had started losing more workers, but he did not lose a single probe. True. Didn't lose any probes. And remember, what's important about this is that Trigger took minimal losses and he got away with his 3rd base, right? Remember, this was a very greedy build from Trigger, and Trigger gets away with a very fast 3rd, and likewise with a boosted economy. So stronger economy coming into the mid game here for Trigger. Meanwhile, ByuN back at home is still trying to amass up, building up his own bio tank. 2nd tank is on the way. We do see he's in position here to defend against the Blink Stalkers, and so far ByuN, he is secure, and we'll see how committed he's going to be. We're still waiting for Stim. Stim is on the way. +1 is on the way. We're still waiting for these upgrades before ByuN can push. Until that moment, it's on Trigger to be as greedy as possible and get ready for that move out. Now, Trigger had the option here. We could have gone for splash damage. Colossus, Bay, Storm. The answer is double Forge into charge. Yeah, Raven has into the main base, getting 1 probe kill so far. Raven is going to be zoned away. But for the time being here, Trigger, again, as we mentioned, double Forge, double upgrades into charge, into a very heavy gateway style. This is a bold move, considering that gateway play is supposed to be a little bit more diminished coming into the patch. So he's opting to go for this instead of splash damage. We'll see if Trigger can pull this off. Bearing in mind as well that Trigger is not warping in gateways. Oh, sorry, I should say he's not morphing gateways into warp gates. Better way of putting it. So far, because of that, he does have faster production, faster warp-ins. I mean, Do we want to call it warp-ins? But I guess they're still warping in, I guess. But we have faster production here from Trigger, but they're not as reactive or responsive. But he also saves his money. True, like he doesn't waste resources morphing in those warp gates. Meanwhile, ByuN does threaten a drop, gets spotted by a pylon. Trigger still trying to be active outside of the main. Observer does get caught. Drop is coming in. And Trigger's ready for it. Now, what is a little bit scary here is that Trigger doesn't have any warp gates. And what I mean by that is as we do see the move, he comes to 2-base all-in. Yeah, we said at the beginning of the game here, 2-base all-ins are very common on Ruby Rock, and it's all or nothing here for ByuN. He sends everything across the map. And so far, I believe the SCVs have not been scouted. They've not been seen. So ByuN has a Raven in between the bases, he has to drop outside of the main base, and he has the main army coming across the map. And remember, Trigger chose not to get splash damage. He chose to go for a very heavy Zealot style instead. And I don't know if Trigger can hold on against this. There's just so much. The SCVs, the boys, they hit a buffer for the Zealots. They hit a tank. Boys revealed, Zealots, they do dive in. Tanks on siege, true. Tanks on siege, the mine shots are about to go off, and they... Ooh. One of them does get tracked, but so many Zealots go down. Every Zealot does fall, and ByuN, he snowballs out of control. He breaks through the Zealots, gets on top of the core of the army. Behind this, more Stalkers do arrive. Are there enough Zealots here? They're going to be cleaned up, but actually, Trigger's holding on just barely. Yeah, just barely holding on. Does focus on the tank, focus on all the Marines. That is 24 SCV kills. The all-in has failed at the same time, dropped to the main base. There's recon to the main. Oh my god, so much production gets depowered, but Trigger saves his mineral line. 60 probes for Trigger, 27 SCVs for ByuN, and things are looking dire for the Terran. I was thinking for a moment there that maybe ByuN would have enough to break through the Zealots, but Trigger, he did pull away those Widow Mines. He was able to minimize splash damage. He traded well enough against the ByuN army, and he just barely had enough to get on top of the tanks. It's also crucial that when it comes to this engage, what happened to ByuN, he got caught unsieged. Also true, there were 2 tanks with the main army. They barely got any value as they were not able to siege up in time. So crucial that Trigger was able to engage ahead of time. And now he's got his 2 Immortals. Now he can focus on the Marauders. And Trigger, he's getting away with better upgrades. He has 1-1, now 2-2 is on the way. 2-2 on the way. Again, stronger economy, stronger setup. The longer this goes on, the better it is for Trigger. ByuN dropping into the main. Recall's on cooldown. Yeah, recall's on cooldown. Trigger does race back in. Production trying to buy some time. And ByuN does get a pylon. Gets one. He gets 1 pylon so far. Ooh, SimCity working against Trigger here. But Medevacs is being focused down. Gets 1. Yeah, it does focus on 1 Medevac. And it's looking quite bleak here for ByuN, because as time goes on, we're not just getting 2-2. Now we finally have the Colossus. The Colossus is on the way. ByuN dropping back into the main. Again, I do like the reliance on drop play here. The reliance on drop play, just because Trigger's army is less mobile than it once was. It's much more immobile. Drops back in. Mine shots get baited. No good connections. Widow Mines get cleaned up, and this time Trigger, can he focus on some of the Medevacs? Blinks in. Nice focus firing out of ByuN. And Medevacs, they pull away at the same time. Reinforcements, they do hit the 3rd base, and Trigger is out of position. Yeah, Trigger is getting pulled apart. Again, he did F2 to his main base, so the army's not quite ready. Depowers the batteries. Colossus has arrived, though. And on the one hand, sure, ByuN is doing some damage. He killed 3 probes, I guess, but this is not enough. 3 workers went down, a pylon went down, not enough damage. So far, Trigger, he is looking solid. ByuN, he's going to try to bring everything together. He's pulling together his forces. But again, now we have Colossus, now we have a more robust army. And GG gets called. GG gets called. Trigger, he shuts down the all-in, and Trigger takes game number 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played with that. Trigger, he will claim a lead in the series. And again, a very impressive defense there by Trigger. ByuN going for the 2-base all-in, which is favored on Ruby Rock and which is also expected as well. And it was also against a greedy build by Trigger. Remember, Trigger, he went 2-gate blink. 2-gate blink into a 3rd base. So Trigger was being greedy. Trigger, he was vulnerable to an all-in. And ByuN, he was able to set up for it, able to push out across the map. But again, Trigger, he was able to engage ahead of time. He caught the tanks on siege. He baited out the mine shots, made sure they did minimal damage. And he did well for himself, engaging when he did, breaking through all those SCVs and breaking through the main ByuN Marine army. And with that, Trigger did hold. GG, well played. Very impressive defense there by Trigger. And this doesn't bode well here for ByuN, but now we go from one extreme to the other. We go from a rush map into a macro map. Up next, we're loading into the Old Sun Temple. Let's go. Let us go. I see RBV shot in the chat. Where did the Terranico storm drop on SCVs? There was no storm research in this game, and if you maybe missed the game itself, if you remember, it was a 2-base all-in and ByuN pulled the boys. If maybe you missed that game. But let's go. Let us go. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of the Old Sun Temple. Oh, as we have cross spawns, we have the Canadian Protoss player leading the series 1-0, representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Terran player, himself, representing Shopify. Down in the series, can he bounce back and make a series out of this? It is a ByuN. Let's go. Let us go. Okay, so those that maybe missed it, we screamed he pulled the boys back, yeah. But here there's less of a chance for a 2-base all-in, as we are loading into a 4-player small map and we have cross spawns as well. Okay, so long rush distance by ground, it's going to be up to our players to determine where exactly the other is spawning in. Now, to help with scouting, we have taken note, of course, there are maps like Exarch and Fear and Faith, which do have like these aqueducts or monorail systems that connect our bases. Here on the Old Sun Temple, instead we have speed zones. There are speed zones here in the center of the map, and this does help with worker scouting, so we can try to get across the map to figure out what's going on. Likewise, we could even try to risk it all and go for some proxies in the center as well. When it comes to other features of the Old Sun Temple, compared to the other 4-player small maps, this is the most defensive one. What I mean by that is that we do have a very narrow choke point coming up this ramp in towards the natural. Likewise, we have a more narrow entrance here on the left, which is fully walled off here on the left-hand side as well. So there's only one entrance toward the triangular third base. And here on the right-hand side, we do see another wall and another high ground location. So your initial 4-base setup is very secure on Old Sun Temple, more so than on Exarch and more so than on Fear and Faith. On top of that, because of the terrain, once you open up these mineral patches or break through this wall, you have another expansion here that's much more accessible. So taking a 5th base and building up into the late game is much more viable on this map compared to Exarch and Fear and Faith. The other 4-player small maps, the way that they work is that there's a gap. There's a significant gap between your 4 bases and the other corner 4 bases. It's just larger. It's just a larger map, and there's more distance between them, so it's harder to get a 5th base on the other big maps. On this one, I would say it is easier, as the bases are closer together. They're closer together. It's a little bit more, a little bit more congested, if you will. A little bit more consolidated. There we go. But Trigger does find ByuN. So Trigger finds him. ByuN has not found Trigger. ByuN is scattered on the top side for proxies. Is not fully aware as to Trigger's spawn location. For now, though, did go Ranks Expand Marine first as well, so this is quite greedy out of ByuN. Not the greediest that we've seen. It does not go CC first, but ByuN does open up with a Ranks Expand with a Marine, no SCV Scout, and no Reaper Scout. And bam! 3 CC, 3 racks. Let's go. So ByuN is being initially an economic opener, nothing too crazy, but the follow-up here is incredibly greedy. So 3 CC into 3 racks, there's a second. We are expecting a 3rd racks as well. This is a very greedy build here. ByuN is vulnerable to aggression, but because of this cross spawn location, there's less of a chance that Trigger can punish ByuN. How do you punish this? Well, because we're expecting a 3rd racks as well, the factory is very late, right? The factory is very delayed. Because the factory is delayed, that means tank production is delayed as well. So if Trigger were to open up 4-gate blink, then 4-gate blink stalkers can punish this pretty hard. We can rotate, we can push in back and forth. Without tanks, it can be very difficult defense. But if Trigger doesn't know what's going on, and Trigger doesn't know what's going on, then there's no reason to be hyper aggressive, and ByuN should get away with this. And what does this mean? This means that ByuN should have a very strong mid game. He's going to have faster 2-base saturation, as he has an extra mule and he has triple SCV production, and he'll have a faster 3rd base saturation as well. And this culminates into strong mid game play with a boosted economy and a larger army. So again, it's a very greedy build here, and it does start to snowball out of control into the mid game. It takes a while for it to kick in, and it can be abused. But remember, Trigger doesn't know what's going on. Trigger has failed to scout, and Trigger, once again, does go for a faster third. So in the main base, we have one gateway. In the natural, we have a second gateway. This time, we're going to be going for a robo before expand, but this is still quite greedy. Remember, last game was 2-gate blink into a third. This time it's 2-gate blink robo into a third base. So this time it's slightly safer play at a Trigger. Slightly safer with the faster robo. Last game, Trigger was being greedier, if you recall. So our players are adjusting a little bit here. Trigger, after taking a lead in the series, does decide to play a little bit safer, and ByuN is being greedy. And because of Trigger's safer play, it does mean that ByuN will get away with this. Here we go. Just catching with the chat. This map looks large. It is large for sure. It is large, but I was comparing it to the other 4-player small maps when it comes to the base locations. But it is a big map, especially because of the cross spawns. If we had close spawns, then different story, right? Close spawns do allow for aggression, but with diagonal spawns, then that's when we can embrace, you know, the mid game, the late game. And I'm sure that's one of the reasons why ByuN took his third base. I mean, once again, ByuN doesn't even know where Trigger is, so this is still a big risk, a big gamble from ByuN, but it's paying off. It is paying off. I see in the chats, IMO 2-gate blink feels really comfortable in the new patch. You have the equivalent of 3-gate production if you don't turn them into warp gates. That's good to know. We did take note of the fact that Trigger, he did save resources by not morphing in any warp gates, and he was staying on. And of course, with warp gate being researched with regular gateways, they do have increased production. So that might be one of the reasons why maybe it is safer to go 2-gate. Or I say safer, yeah, safer to go 2-gate compared to last patch, where it might have been a bigger risk. I can't say that with full certainty yet. This is just speculation, just because we haven't seen enough games to see 2-gate punished or not, right? Last game we saw that Trigger did get away with it, and I'm curious if throughout the course of the next couple of weeks we see more attempted all-ins and we see more Protoss players get away with 2-gate as an opener, like 2-gate blink. Like, despite aggression, despite all-ins, even on smaller maps. So I'm curious if that trend continues, and we find out that it's actually, like, even more efficient than previously. So we'll see. We'll see how the meta does evolve, because if that sentiment is correct, if 2-gate blink is a safer build than previously, and you can actually muster up a stronger defense against all-ins, then we might see 2-base all-ins die down from Terran as we just hit in. Jesus, oh, the speed zone. Stim through the speed zone is crazy as we chase down the Stalkers. Very nice catch here by ByuN. We spoke earlier that once the third base gets up running, then we do hit that power spike. That's where ByuN is. But his fast 3-base setup is kicking in. Oh, medevac does barely boost away, once again making use of those speed zones. Yeah, it does kite away. Ooh, but medevac's going to be going down. Does get one. Yeah, one medevac does fall. And ByuN is going to punish. Yeah, ByuN, he will punish. There are not enough zealots here. Not enough charge lots. Trigger, he has to get the hell out of here. Does have to pull away. And Trigger maintains his economy. Trigger, he saves his third, he saves his fourth base as well. Instead, both armies, they just clash in the center. Looking at the trades here, we just see that Trigger did bleed out a lot of zealots in that engagement. Meanwhile, ByuN did lose 2 medevacs. True, so I did lose a couple of medevacs, did lose a couple of marauders here. In the end, we bounce off each other. And I'm curious if we enter that game state that I was theorizing earlier in game 1. Specifically, I'm referring to late game TVP. I have not seen enough late game TVP to see what happens if the Protoss player can still gain map control and can still just overwhelm the Terran player with mass gateway production. It's a situation that we haven't seen enough of yet, or at least I haven't seen enough of yet on the new patch. We're not there yet, as ByuN is still fighting for map control, rotating over towards the 4th expansion. Trigger trying to keep up. Once again, these speed zones allow for very fast rotations, but the Zealots here, Zealots have arrived. Mine shots going off. Oh my god, massive connections. Yeah, Zealots clumped up, and they're so low. Purely from the mine shots, so many of them are deep in the red. And Trigger's in trouble. He's in trouble, pappy. Yeah, ByuN sims in. ByuN still has momentum. Trigger needs time for the Colossus. And without the Colossus, there's no defense here. Yeah, gonna try to rush in. Putting out more Zealots. Every Zealot is gonna go down. There's still plenty of bio left over. Now we can dive with the Marauders, and it might just be too much. It might be too much here. Again, the power spike from the 3CC 3 racks is just a little bit too good, a little bit too strong. Plus the trades earlier. Boys are being pulled. Desperation at a trigger. 12 probes go down. And with that, ByuN is done. ByuN is done. The Colossus is too little too late. And ByuN will break through. Again, 14 probe kills. ByuN is still rallying. Speed zones, they help. They do help with that. As we speed, we zoom across the map, Batty. We be zooming. And again, as we mentioned previously, Trigger failed to scout, failed to recognize the aggression of ByuN. I say the aggression, the power spike that ByuN was going to have once his third base got up and running. And you can see that ByuN can now rally. GG gets across the map, and ByuN ties up the series 1-1. GG. Whew. GG, well played. With that, we're getting into game number 3. Let's go. Getting to game 3 here. We have it back and forth. Winding it back once again, ByuN did have a very greedy build here, going into a very fast 3-base saturation. That means that we do hit a big power spike once your third base gets up when it comes to your bio production, and ByuN, he just sent everything across the map. Once again, if you remember, Trigger failed to scout and failed to punish the greed out of ByuN. Trigger tried to get into his own economic build, but we saw that Trigger, he just wasn't able to keep up with the production of ByuN. Likewise, those mine shots were brutal. There's a world where maybe if the mine shots weren't as juicy as they were, maybe Trigger could have been able to hold there, but those were like some of the most value mine shots we've seen, where they connect with all the Zealots, and without that buffer, there was just nothing to buy time for the Colossus, and GG. GG, well played. With that, we're tied up, and we're getting to game number 3. Let's go. Let us go. I also suspect that aggressive 3-racks openers won't be viable all for the same reason. Yeah, we'll see, we'll see. Aged well. I mean, bearing in mind that that the game that we just saw here was 3CC 3-racks, which is different to 3-racks. Similar, kind of, because they both have 3-racks. The number 3 is in the name, but they are different builds. But it is possible. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of at Attorney's Edge, we do have the Canadian Protoss player. We have the red Protoss. Being forced into a tied series, representing Basilisk, it is a Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player, the blue Terran, representing Shopify. It is tying up the series 1-1. It is ByuN. Okay, welcome one all to I almost said Attorney's Edge, to add Attorney's Edge. This is an interesting map in the map pool. It does have 2 different dynamics at play. We can expand here towards the southern half of the map, which are safer bases to take that lead into high yield bases, the high yield gold base specifically, or you can expand closer to your opponent's shorter rush distance by ground in towards high yield gas geysers instead. Now, because of that, we have seen a lot of very aggressive timings. Hello. We've seen a lot of aggressive timings here from Terran players in TVP, but ByuN does open up with the proxy racks. Let's go, baby, let's go. So ByuN will spice things up a little bit further here. Meanwhile, Trigger back at home so far, just going for a standard opener, and should soon be moving out with the probe to see what's going on. We'll see how committed ByuN is going to be as he is taking his gas geyser back at home. We'll see if it's just going to be Proxy Reaper, or if we intend to be a little bit more committed than that. Nope. Let's go. Is Rax just short for barracks? Yes, yes. Have some jargon like that, if you will, like racks or gates, which yeah, it's a warp gate, and it is going to be Proxy Marauder. Okay, so Tech Lab gets started now. We do have our Proxy Marauder here out of ByuN. So far, Trigger, what scares me is that Trigger did not go for a pylon scout or a gate scout. Trigger, he does not notice that there's no racks back at home. So Trigger does take a risk here. 0 scouting out of Trigger. He has no idea what's going on. As a result, Trigger will have a couple of seconds to react. He'll have very, very little time to react to what's going on and to react to the aggression to the Proxy Marauder. This is ideal for ByuN. Like, the stars are aligning quite well. The Stars are aligning. Again, when it comes to skill or play at this level of play, not scouting is intentional at times and is a calculated risk that you take. For example, last game, remember ByuN didn't scout Trigger at all last game. If you recall, ByuN did check nearby proxy locations, but he did not scout with an SCV or with a Reaper, and ByuN got away with it. This game, it's Trigger that's not scouting, and yeah, he's gonna get caught out as a result. There's no safety battery. Stalker is out in the open as well. Marauders are revealed. Bunkers on the way. Trigger turns back around, and this is just a rough start for Trigger. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, boys are being pulled. And we'll see if we can deny that bunker and even surround the Marauders. But now we're up to 3. Yeah, now 3 Marauders. Probes are going to start going down. Catching at 1, 2, 3, 4 probe kills. We do zone the army away from the bunker at least. True. Army's going to be zoned away, and this will be cleaned up, and all without losing so many workers here. 6 probes going down, and all this lost mining time as well. And remember, this is not an all-in. Oh, the tall grass. The free shots with the tall grass behind this factory is on the way into Cyclone production. Bunker does finish. Do we get into the bunker? Not quite. Yeah, not quite. Marauder does kill a couple of extra workers here. 9 probes going down. 9 probe kills. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, back at home. I assumed it was going to be Cyclone. My apologies. We're going for safety wooden mines to defend back at home. We are transitioning. Now, this is good damage, but remember, Trigger does have the Nexus, right? Does have the natural base up and running, is able to produce 2 workers at a time to recover, to recoup those losses. It's on Trigger now to try to gain map control, contain ByuN on a low base count, and to try to delay the natural for as long as possible. And hopefully, Trigger doesn't take the mine to the face. Don't take it to the face! No! Oh! Oh! Oh god, okay, he knows. Whew. So he does pull back. Thank god. As we're setting up for the mine drop. Again, CC on the high ground. And the game will continue. It does continue from here. Wooden mines are setting up. Oh, can we hide the mine? Can we? Now, after the initial aggression here, we're expecting ByuN to 2-base all in. Like, usually when it comes to proxies and aggressive early game, like, it comes in layers. We'll see if ByuN goes to one extreme or the other. I mean, already with the oh no, never mind. I was gonna say already with the 1-1-1, we might throw down another Axe. Well, Hallucination does go in, and the Hallucination confirms the faster TC. And this is huge. Trigger now knows that he can be greedy, that he doesn't have to be overly defensive. He now knows that ByuN is expanding. ByuN revealing cloak as well. But basically, ByuN's goal here is to, what looks to be, try to recover economically from this game by being a little bit greedier. Trigger should have a lot of freedom coming into the mid game. A lot of freedom. What do our job is coming in? Trigger just claiming his 3rd. I believe it was 2-gate once again. Yeah, 2-gate bleeding into the robo into the 3rd. So once again, relatively safer play here by going for the earlier robo into detection, into what needs to be immortals if need be. Cloak was cancelled. And again, ByuN is stabilizing. He's looking to stabilize. But as we mentioned before, because of the faster TC, that should prompt Trigger to cut corners, to saturate a little bit faster, to maybe even be greedier and go double forge, double upgrades, faster tech for splash damage. We'll see where the greed ends for Trigger. Trigger does dip back in. Does get eyes on one of the eBays. I would want Trigger to recheck the 3rd. There's a slim chance that maybe it gets cancelled and we just pull the boys. Like we but there we go. Does recheck and does confirm the 3rd base is done. There's no weird like cancellation into just doubling down. Banshee breaks in. Batteries in position. Ooh, the Banshee is going to be hunted down as well. Very nice pickup. Takes down the Banshee. That was not quite worth it here for ByuN, as ByuN fails to get any damage done with the Banshee. Thankfully, didn't research Cloak. Yep, there it is, double forge, which I do like. Like, considering the current game state and the trajectory of ByuN. Going double forge, double upgrades. This will most likely lead in towards the Bay into Colossus a little bit later down the line. We've seen this setup before, and Trigger even claiming his 4th base. Oh, actually just going for the Bay before the 4th, but once again a fast Bay before a gateway explosion. We're still only on 3 gateways, sorry, 4. 4 gates, faster Bay. Into the 4th base. Now, has Trigger been too greedy? Like, this is probably as greedy as you can get, right? Staying on a low gate count, double forge, Robotics Bay, and 4th expansion as well. I did say that we can cut some corners because of ByuN taking his 3rd base, but it is a bit much, and thankfully ByuN is just looking to break out and claim his 3rd. So Trigger should get away with it. Should. Yeah, 2nd E-base on the way, armory's on the way for eventually 2-2. ByuN is only setting up to expand. And this is an example of where the soup is lying to you, right? The soup does lie. Right now, the supplies are quite close, if not in favor of ByuN, but the reasoning and the rationale for that is because of all the greed that Trigger's just done, right? Because of the double forge, the faster Bay, the faster 4th base as well. Because all this money has been spent on tech and on economy, it takes a little bit longer for it to kick in, but it will kick in. So the rate of growth that Trigger's going to have is going to be much stronger as we get in towards the mid game. Nice catch on the Stalker. As Trigger, he can now start throwing down gateways. Now we can start gateways. Now we can actually commit into our army production. And you see ByuN taking up in towards the Ghost. So Academy's on the way. Mine jump into the natural. Trigger does react. Mine jump into the main base. And once again, Trigger does pull away. Jesus. Oh my god, thankfully no retargeting. Thankfully not. 2 pros to 2 mines. Trigger defends. And ByuN still needs more time to build up. Ghost production will soon begin. Now we're getting to Viking production as well. Zealous try to force friendly fire. No real damage here though. Better defense out of ByuN. Cleans up the run by. At the same time, Trigger does move out. ByuN's reacting well. And Trigger is gaining map control. As Trigger is containing ByuN on a low base count. Behind this, taking more expansions, more Nexi. Trigger's about to max out. It's working on 2-2. Disruptor production has begun. And we're soon going to be entering that game state that I was making reference to earlier about how oppressive Protoss was in the last patch and how it seems like that wasn't going to change coming into this patch, but we'll see. Obviously, there's still no warp gates, so once again, the kind of like burst reinforcements that we're used to seeing isn't going to be happening when it comes to reinforcing after a lost fight. That sudden wave of warp-ins. I'm curious if we actually ever get there, if we actually ever morph them into warp gates. As we have a second Red Bull on the way. Double Disruptor production. Never goes off. Ooh, does connect. Yeah, not bad. Likewise, Stalkers are going to be careful. Trigger does pull away. You can see here the new visual effects. The Disruptor is very, very... it does look a little bit too striking, to be honest. Like, it's very, very apparent when it's off cooldown. But, like, to the point where it stands out quite heavily. I understand that's meant to be the point, but... to me, it looks a little bit too jarring compared to what the rest of the army looks like. But again, maybe, like, that's meant to be the point, I guess. Thursday Curious, early before this patch, there was a visual change, so you can see when the Disruptor was on cooldown. You could already see the visual change, but now they made it more obvious by making it like a big shade of like black or gray. Nova goes up. Now a second Nova. Trigger moving back in. Once again, just trading with the Bio, catching out one of the Yunsiege tanks. Vikings are trying to push forward. Nova zones away. The Vikings, they do collapse on both the Colossus. Nice pickups. Gets one, gets two. Just the one. Just one Colossus. Trigger does pull away. And Trigger is happy to trade. Remember, Trigger, he's fighting ByuN for his 4th base. Meanwhile, Trigger is on 6. He's on 6 bases. Trigger, he has map control. He has a booming economy. Oh, EMP goes up. As Nova does graze the army. And it does graze the army here. ByuN trying to build up into more Liberators, into more Vikings. Again, the Viking count was almost reset. He's down to 1 Viking. Down to 1. Down to 0. Yeah, final Viking goes down. Nova goes off on the Marauder. Still 1 Nova left. Again, decent connections. Nothing major. Just chipping away at the army. And so far, Trigger is still trading well. Still trading very well here. ByuN does catch 1 Disruptor. But we have more Colossus on the way. They're coming. There's 4 Vikings so far. But there's still a very healthy Stalker count here. Very healthy. And ByuN is struggling. He's struggling to defend, struggling to maintain. Oh. Still no major Novas yet. But the Vikings, once again, they get focused down. Down to 2 Vikings, down to 1. 1 Viking left. Just free damage here from these 3 Colossus. Yeah, the lasers, they pop up. Oh my god. 1 Colossus gets started down. Now going for the other as well. And Trigger overextends. Big overextension here from Trigger. We get some decent Novas. Do we focus on the planetary? We do not. Oh my god, and Trigger's gonna lose everything. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, Trigger pushing too far in. Heavy losses for Trigger here. Again, that was not necessary. That was... Basically, as ByuN pulled further back behind the planetary, Trigger, he moved forward with all 3 Colossus, and funnily enough, all 3 Colossus were actually within range of the planetary, and ByuN had some very nice target firing. He focused on the Colossus, one after the other, with the planetary of all things. And Trigger's forced back. And Trigger, he lost all the Stalkers as well. It takes a long time to rebuild them. Yeah, you can see no anti-air left. No anti-air, no Stalkers. Vikings, they just bully the Colossus. Base goes down. That's a lot of Zealots, though. It's a lot of charge slots. Oh my god. Yeah, they collapse on the Ghosts. As ideally as Protoss, you want to preserve your Stalker count, and we just saw a reset, but the Zealots, they do collapse on the Ghosts. So many Ghosts go down. Yeah, massive pickup on those Ghosts. Trigger pulls away. Behind this, we have Stalker reinforcements and more Colossus. But ByuN, he maintains his 4th base. Like this is a big moment for ByuN. Otherwise, what should be happening here is that Trigger should still be maintaining this position, still just threatening the 4th base of ByuN. Not anymore. So the momentum is swung from one player to the other. ByuN sims in. And dust him. One of the Liberators does get caught out. Colossus are exposed, losing 1. Yeah, massive pickoff, losing 1 of the Colossus. Once again, there's no Disruptors. We do dive in once again. The other Colossus almost goes down. And again, Trigger's in trouble here. His army is still on the way. I think this is also something, as an observer, is a little bit different than previously, is that when you see these clashes happen, and when you're looking at the fact that Trigger has a maxed out army, because of how the production's working, a lot of the production is actually still en route. Like, a lot of the army, the supply is still en route. Still coming. And with that, ByuN, he does break through, takes out the Colossus once again, and ByuN is overwhelming. He's reaching critical mass. We have 5 Liberators. There's too much freedom, too much liberation, and ByuN, he just snowballs out of control, breaks through the main army, catches out all the Stalkers. Colossus barely survives. Barely survives. But again, this all came down to Trigger overextending earlier. And ByuN is getting out of hand. Oh, he wants it. Almost. Casito. Oh, Trigger's crazy. He blinks in. He gets 1, 2, 3 Liberators. Barely 4. Oof. Barely 4. Barely 5? Okay. 5 Liberators go down. 6. Gets all 6. Very nice cleanup here. ByuN also ran out of reinforcements. His army was thinned out. He stuck around a little bit too long. Both players overstaying their welcome. in their own moments. But ByuN just getting a little bit too greedy there. Trigger still very much so in this. And Trigger may have lost what makes. Oh, he will lose a Colossus, but he does take top right. He's taking more expansion on the top side. Taking more next time. Still expanding. Trigger still trying to keep up. As ByuN is claiming another planetary here, now getting a 5th base. Oof. Yeah, 5th base now getting up. Trigger, he rotates over. Does find a free... Never mind. I was going to say finds a free tank. Well, a little bit late to react. Yeah, Trigger pulls away. And again, Trigger's army is being outscaled. Up until we reached all those Liberators, like Trigger, he was looking dominant, took a bad fight, and now ByuN is now able to incorporate a much more heavy Liberator composition. And as a result, so this ground focus army out of Trigger now struggles. It now struggles a little bit more as now we have more efficiency out of ByuN with more Ghosts, EMPs, Liberators, Vikings. ByuN still needs a little bit of time to max out, but he's getting there. Oh. As Trigger is running out of bases to take. So I'll say try to collapse in. Try to collapse in. Oh, catching out another Liberator. Catching out another. Trigger coming in from behind. A nice Runway takes out the tank and gets into the mineral line. For the first time in a long time, economic damage. A couple of SCVs are going down. It's taken a while. At the same time, Trigger, he rotates towards the left-hand side, and ByuN is out of position. Yeah, completely out of position here. Planetary goes down. A nice rotation by Trigger. Very nice. 13 SCV kills. As Trigger's trying to keep up. Trigger does take the fight. Bleeding out some Zealots. Another run by. Once again into the mineral line. ByuN is in position though. Yeah, ByuN defends. Orbital does re-expand. Ooh. It does re-expand. Disruptor's exposed. Massive pickup. Catching up the Disruptor. The Colossus are exposed as well. ByuN, he wants them. He stims. Yeah, he stims in and he almost gets one. Whew. Casito. A couple shots go up. Trigger, we're going to be careful. There's a very low Colossi. Getting very low. Trigger pulls away. Liberator count is still looking quite healthy for ByuN. 7 Liberators. But the Ghost count has been struggling. Whenever we have an engagement, because the Ghosts are typically far forward, they keep going down to the Zealots. I say that. How many have gone down? 5. Okay. There hasn't been that many that made this game. But the Ghost count has been kept quite low. Oh, there it goes off. Just owning. Trigger, he does retake these bases. Going for center right. There is no planetary here, but ByuN is ready. He's ready for the Zealots. Ooh, Mass Liberators does defend here the 3rd base location. Trigger still looking for a way in. Rotates over. Liberators, they also reposition as well. Again, it's all about these rotations. ByuN has to keep up with the main army with these libs. And so far he is. Sets up the freedom zones. Trigger, he rotates. ByuN is ready. And ByuN is not maxed. Ooh, ByuN is maxed out, so we'll bleed out 1 Liberator and a Viking. Trigger still looking for a way in. He's still looking, Pappy. Oh, sneaking in from behind. Okay. He does skirt around the edge. Heads towards the 4th base. Stalkers, they dive in. Catching out 1, 2 Liberators. Not bad. And Zealots, they don't get much done here. Yeah, tries to go for the planetary. Wasn't quite worth it. A lot of Zealots get thrown away. Oh my god, the Novas though. The Novas connect. ByuN not looking. As ByuN attempts, I mean, they're both fighting for the gold. Who can take it? The gold base. Who can claim it? So far, Trigger's on location. Ooh, Liberator does 9 mining. Nice move with the Liberator. Army rotates with left-hand side. Planetaries, sorry, the Nexus is on the threat. Trigger can try to use this to come in from behind the army. There are no Liberators here. Yeah, Trigger's going for it. Coming in from behind. ByuN needs to get the hell out of here. Has to pull away. Does want to get cornered. Who's round 2? Uh-oh. Trigger has to back off. Trigger has to pull away. Has to back up. Almost gets baited in. And ByuN's going for the gold. He's going for the gold base. Trigger, he does try to catch some of the Vikings. Zal said to get into the mineral line. Not many SCVs to kill, but damage nonetheless. 5 SCVs. That one Liberator popping off. 15 probe kills. The gold has yet to be saturated. Trigger once again trying to find a better angle of attack. Does catch the sensor tower. Just causing a distraction at the same time. Does hit the gold. And will deny. Denies the gold expansion. There's still one more base here that has not been taken. Also, it's very easy to forget, but Trigger, there's still another base here that's very free for Trigger with a high yield gas as well, by the way. But it's very easy to forget those center bases. Oh, there's no major connections. The Liberators, for the most part, they keep up. Oh, yeah, Trigger does blink in, gets one. Bleeds out a couple of Stalkers though, and a Colossus. So some expensive trades there for Trigger. But again, this base is very often or easily forgotten. Trigger, it's a free base for you, Pappy. Just bear that in mind. As ByuN does find an opening. Oh, massive catch. He gets 1, 2, 3, 4 disruptors and the Colossus as well. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, Trigger gets caught out. At the same time, does go for a massive Zealot run by. So Trigger, who loses his main army, but at the same time, he cripples the economy. Does cripple. Remember, that was 5 disruptors and 1 Colossus. So Trigger, who loses his main core robo units. Does pick up some SCVs. Meanwhile, ByuN is he's not done. He's going to keep pushing. Do we recall? Bold move. Yeah, he recalls over, but at last ByuN should win this fight. Cleans up the Gateway Army. Trigger in a rough position. Will go for the CC. Does not kill. No shot. Doesn't kill the base. So we do have Colossus. We have reinforcements, and ByuN breaks. Sorry, Trigger breaks through. Trigger is breaking through. He's so close. At the same time, ByuN knocking down bases. And Trigger does not break in. Ay, ay, ay. So 2 next side go down for Trigger. And Trigger, he fails to kill the CC. And Trigger's in trouble. Trigger, he has no bank. He's about to get surrounded. Trigger, who'll lose everything. Massive surround. ByuN comes in from behind, catching out the Colossus once again. And Trigger has nothing. He has nothing left. We're down to a couple of Gateway units, 2 Stalkers, a couple of Zealots. Ay, ay, ay. Again, Trigger, he was holding his own up until he got caught here, right? When he got caught with all the Disruptors, all the Colossus. He was holding his own, Pappy. But now he's broke. If only Trigger knew that he had a base here. If only even that would not be enough, to be fair. It would help, but given the current game state. Again, a very intense back and forth. Very intense. But ByuN is running away with it. He's running away with it. Knocking down more bases, more expansions. We'll take down center left. Center left, Pappy. Catching at the Disruptor. The more Liberations arrive. GG gets called as ByuN snowballs out of control, and ByuN takes game number 3, taking a lead in the series. Whew, GG. GG, well played. And with that, a very intense back and forth here. Very intense, very close, very clutch. Again, there were a couple of key moments there where Trigger did overextend. There are two key moments that I'm thinking of. If you remember, when Trigger pushed in towards the planetary, when he moved his 3 Colossus within range of the planetary, when he was fighting for the 4th base of ByuN, that was one big overextension from Trigger. And the other big moment, of course, is towards the end when he did get all of his Disruptors and Colossus caught in the center of the map. When he got them all caught out and when his Robo army was reset. So there were a couple of key moments here where we saw ByuN catch Trigger out of position and punish at times some over aggressive moves out of Trigger as well. But outside of that, it was very close, very clutch. We saw a lot of trades, a lot of rotations, a lot of army movements. It was all about the army movement really when it comes to that game, and ByuN was for the most part keeping up. Both players found some openings here and there, but ByuN did shut him down. GG, well played. But a solid game, very solid game, very impressive play. GG. It's beautiful. Here we go. Oh, as we are getting ready here for game number 4. Into the storm, Matt Zealot's bad late game. I feel like that. See Rigel in chat. I feel like that shows a bit of a lack of understanding of the late game. Storms, they do fall off as the game continues just because of the higher ghost counts. You saw a lower ghost count out of ByuN, but that's because there were no storms or high Templar. As you try to get into Templar, that's when ghosts arise. So typically high Templar, they fall off getting into the later game and you switch into Disruptors. The reasoning for this is because Disruptors are safe against Vikings and they're safe against ghosts because Vikings don't shoot down and ghosts EMPs don't stop Purification Overs. So I would say that shows a bit of a lack of understanding of late game, but hopefully that does kind of make things make a little bit more sense, which is why you see a transition into Disruptors more commonly in TVP as we get into longer games. But here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Necropolis, we have the red Protoss player. We have the Canadian Protoss representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Terran player, the blue Terran himself, representing Shopify. It is ByuN. Here we go. Here we go as we are getting into our next game. And once again, ByuN does move out early on across the map, and we'll see what we set up with here. Let's go. Also didn't have warp gates. Yeah, I think I agree with one of the comments made earlier that once you get into a certain stage of the game, it would be ideal to have a couple of warp gates just for defensive warp-ins, just to help alleviate with some of the drop play. I would say that, to be fair, there wasn't really much like harassment that was going on from ByuN outside the Liberators, which was doing a lot of damage, to be fair. Like the Liberator harass was impactful for sure. But I would agree with the idea of players getting used to getting a couple of warp gates in that later game. But I wouldn't fault players too much at the moment because the patch is still very new, and I can't imagine we've had too much experience yet at that stage of the game with this new kind of like warp gates mechanic or with a change to the production. But for sure, I do agree that like there is a lot of value, especially when you have a bank like that, when you're spreading yourself thin, to be able to react in some way. But here we go as ByuN does once again open up Proxy Marauder. We're setting up. Welcome to Necropolis. Necropolis is an RSL map. Or I say an RSL map, it's a bit of an older TLMC map. I've been vocal about this before. I'm not too fond of the idea of this map being in the RSL map pool when we could have used other more modern, more recent TLMC maps. But it was voted on by the patrons. So I mean, we have it, and from here we do have a high ground natural base, so it's a little bit more defendable here. The Zealot does move out across the map, but will miss the proxy. Ooh, does miss a proxy. as ByuN does move in, sets up the bunker. Again, now Trigger is aware of what's going on. At the same time, he's got one Zoun and one Adept across the map, but we can just mass repair this. And Trigger's in trouble. Yeah, Trigger's in trouble. Pylon goes down. Marauders, they dip into the main. How many probe kills? What can we get done? Boys are being pulled. Yeah, boys are being pulled. The bunker's going to finish. Oof. Yeah, the bunker's going to finish. This position cannot be broken. And again, it was just really unfortunate here for Trigger to have his army across the map, to fail to scout as well. The Adept is going to be focused down, and it all just falls apart early on. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, 3 more probe kills. Now going for the battery. And again, we can always just pull back to the bunker. We can always pull back to it. And this is an example compared to the previous game of Proxy Marauder just getting the most amount of damage here. Everything just aligning here for ByuN. At the same time, a couple of SCVs do go down to the Adept. A couple, but we can just keep producing. We can just keep producing. Keep up the momentum. 14 probe kills. Does snipe 1 Marauder. So 1 Marauder does go down. Oh god, no! He gets a Stalker. Yeah, still catches the Stalker in the end. There's just so much burst damage with these Marauders. The Stalkers, they get hunted down one after the other. There's the Angeva charge. That will help at least somewhat. But again, this is how the series ends, which is just saying, which is a shame. This series has been very dynamic, very back and forth, especially that last game as well. We've had a lot of very intense games between these two players, and it all ends here. It all ends with the proxy. Adept does get into the mineral line and will kill some SCVs, but GG gets called, and ByuN will claim the series 3-1, and ByuN will qualify for RSL Season 6. GG. GG, well played. ByuN will claim the series here. Again, we had a really intense and dynamic series overall. I loved game 1, 2, and 3. Unfortunately, though, the series ends with some cheese with a proxy. Unfortunately, Trigger, he failed to scout said proxy, moved across the map with his first Zealot and with his first Adept as well, so he had all of his army units across the map, so he could not fight for the bunker, right? He could not deny the bunker from getting up and running. The bunker did finish. That meant that ByuN had a very nice kind of outpost to fall back to if ever need be, and he just crippled the economy, got out of hand, got out of control. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations, ByuN. He will claim the series. He will claim the series, and with that, we're getting ready for our next qualifying match. So ByuN, he's qualified. Trigger, he's going to be knocked out of the qualifier. He'll have to try once again in the Korean qualifier or European qualifier or Patreon voting instead. Wish Trigger the best of luck, of course, in the other qualifiers. Wish him the best as we get ready for our next qualifying match. GG. GG, well played. What would work there? Maybe Blink DT and some Tempest. Clearly, Mass Zealots and Stalkers are struggling. I would push back against that framing. I would say no. Like, they were not clearly. Like that was a very dynamic back and forth between the two players. We did try to emphasize 2 key moments where Trigger took some really bad fights that resulted in him losing a lot of gas-intensive units when it came to pushing too far into the planetary and getting caught in the center of the map with all of his disruptors. Because typically you do want to preserve your gas units, whether it's your Stalkers, your Disruptors, your Colossus as well, and be as efficient as possible with them, as you're mainly trading Zealots. Like, again, Trigger, he was holding his own. Like, I don't know what your perception of that game was, but like, it was a very dynamic back and forth, and there was a lot of positional play that was going on there as well. If you do go up against a Terran player where you fail to start to get damage, if they successfully turtle up to like 4 and 5 bases, then typically the transition there is to go into Tempest and to go into Sky Toss. It is a very difficult transition though, and most players avoid that, but that's like the other approach, is to go Tempest to help deal with like the siege units of Liberators and the entrenched position. But if you're still able to rotate and find damage, which Trigger was, then you can stick with this gateway heavy style of Mass Zealots and core units of robo or core gas intensive robo units. Like, that does like hold its own getting into that kind of game state, as long as you maintain a better economy as well, right? You have to successfully defend your fringe bases to be able to afford all the extra Zealot warp ins. Like, you need those bases, need those Nexi to keep trading. But here we go. GG, well played. Congratulations here to ByuN, and with that, we're getting into our next series. It's going to be a best of 5 between Cure and Zoun. Another TVP. Let's go. Let us go. catching up in the chat. See in chat, someone asking, new or old patch? Once again, when it comes to these tournaments and live events, you should expect everything to be on the new patch. The only exception to that was Maestros of the game. That was the only tournament in the old patch, but that's because the entire tournament took place in the previous patch, so they felt the need to create a mod for it. But you should not expect that from other events, and if they do happen to host a tournament on the old patch, if that happens in the future, then that would be the exception. But you know, you'd be made aware of that, I'm sure. Otherwise, you should just by default expect like new patch content. At least we can say that for like RSL, for Open Cups, for Home Story Cup as well, for Doyo Cup. But here we go. Here we go, spawning in the top right hand corner of Fear and Faith. We have the blue Protoss player. We have the South Green Protoss representing onside. It is Zoun. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Terran player. The red Terran, the South Green Terran for Team Liquid. It is Cure. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. I do apologize. I don't think I actually opened predictions last series, so I do apologize for that. I think that was a bit of an oversight. I was maybe just a little bit too engrossed in the games themselves, but predictions are open, so you can place your bets on who you think will make it through, Zoun or Cure. Now, once again, coming into this, it's going to be a harder one to call. First things first, welcome to Fear and Faith, a map that we did not see in the previous series, but a 4-player spawn map nonetheless. And as you can see here on the right-hand side, we have the monorail system here connecting every corner of the map. So you can see here, you can spawn in bottom right, bottom left, top left, and top right as well. And again, every corner is connected by these tubing systems, by this monorail system. You can see it here as well. And what can fit inside them? Only workers. Only workers can fit inside, and it's a way to speed up worker scouting. It's the solution, or it's the attempted solution here to worker scouting and to trying to find your opponents. Zoun just went through it, by the way. Just went through it, and Zoun does find Cure immediately. It also means that if you try to wall this area off like Zoun, he can still get away. Potentially. Oh. As he does skirt around the edge. Can he make it back? Can he? Oh my god. Yeah, there's your deception. And Zoun does get back inside the tube. Ah. Oh, he's being chased though. Yes, you're not getting away, Pappy. You're not getting away. But you can see it now come into play here. So again, this is just a way to speed up some scouting, to reduce some of the RNG nature of 4-player spawn maps. And you can wall this off, by the way. With like a pylon or a depot, you can wall this off. We can see the counter scout. True. Security gets in. Confirms the opener. This also does alleviate some scouting just because there's no Reaper Cliff. So very quickly here, as you can see, there's no Reaper Cliff to get into the main base, so scouting from Terran can be a little bit more difficult. You are more reliant on the SCV just because the Reaper has to go through the natural to get into the main base, whereas on other maps there's usually like an alternate route into the main. Here on Fear and Faith, the main base is very secure. Sound does move out. Behind this is a Rax Expand economic opener at Akira going for a faster factory. So far, nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. Meanwhile, Zoun opening up Twilight Council. I'm curious if the players were watching the previous game, and I'm curious to see if Zoun has his own approach to TVP as well. Whether he's made any adjustments himself. As we have a second SCV scout coming in. True, you can also park your worker inside the tubing system. You can technically, there's a world where if there's like some harass going on, you can run the workers away and hide them in here, I guess. Like in a very niche situation like that. Like they would be safe in there. True. Relatively safe. As Stalker Adept does poke away at the wall here, catching a Marine. I think killing one SCV. Yeah, killing one SCV. Predictions where? Ah, they've closed. Oof. Yeah, as again, so far we're getting quite a bit of damage done already here right now, but the cyclone has arrived and now Cure will hold. Again, we're just waiting for a Cyclone. Does wall off in time. Did end up losing 3 SCVs, so a nice start here for Zoun to pick up a couple of workers. And back at home, how many gateways do we have? As this time, Zoun is embracing Warp Gate. We saw that Trigger, I don't think he warped in a single warp gate the entire series, actually, funny enough. But here, very fast warp gates out of Zoun, getting into a 3-gate blink. This is a very standard build. Sorry, I say standard. This is a very, a very previous, old patch. There we go, that's a bit. This is a very old patch build, going 3-gate blink into the warp prison to be more aggressive across the map. I don't know how I like this, to be honest. I did just mention that, in general, the layout here for the 2 bases is a little bit more secure for the Terran. I don't really know how much damage Zoun can really find, but he's going for it. So an aggressive variation of 3 gates. Does move out. We'll apply pressure and we'll see what he can get done. As Zoun is taking a much more aggressive approach. And again, a very old patch build. So here comes Zoun. Same time, Cure going for his own drop. Cure, he has a safety bunker back at home, but he doesn't have everything to defend. He's going to have 1 tank in the bunker, a couple of bio units, half his army across the map with the Cyclone as well. And we'll see what Zoun can get done. Warping more Stalkers. And tells warp in, adapts they do throw in the shade. We're diving in the bunker. And there we go, 1 bunker will go down. Late repair. Yeah, late repairs here. The bunker does full. There's still 1 tank shelling away at the army. But Stalkers are gaining ground. They will break through. There we go. Another tank falls. Massive pickoff. Ay, ay, ay. Marines, they try to hold their own at the same time. Does drop across the map. Probes are going down. Yeah, 6 probe kills. Zoun tries to keep going, but massive pickoff. Stalkers are falling. Yeah, so many Stalker losses. And Cure, can he hold on? Can he hold that? The stutter stepping. He's trying. Yeah, losing 17 SCVs to the 12 probe kills across the map. Drop is still being active. Cloak Banshee into the main base. More probes are falling, and this is getting out of hand. The chaos, Pappy. The chaos ensues. 20 probe kills. Cure picks up, pulls away. Still more damage in the main base. There's an observer coming. And the observer's here. Yeah, the observer has arrived. That's still 23 probe kills. Zoun trying to go back in. A second Banshee moves out. Drop is still being active. Zoun commits. And he tries to get into the main base, but again he's down to 4 Stalkers. He cannot warp in. Not like this, Pappy. But we're forced to pull the boys. Only 3 Marines down to 1. Yeah, 1 Marine left. Nice tank shot. Ooh, drop is cleaned up. Banshee into the main. 2 more probes. And Zoun holds. Whew. Zoun, he does hold on. Does catch the final Banshee as well. And as it settles, where exactly are we? Cure doesn't really have much of a presence to really push across the map, so he's stuck at home here with his tank, with his bio army. We do see Zoun. He will continue warp-ins. He's not done. He's not stopping. He's also not saturated. Yeah, he's still committing across. I'm making some probes behind this. But here we go. He'll reinforce with his entire army. We just see Cure does rebuild his SimCity, rebuilds the wall. Now up to a second tank. And he's built up to 2. Zoun blinks in. Okay, does blink in, barely out of vision, barely out of range of the tank. Prison towards the main base. Oh, barely out of vision of the production, actually. That's crazy. That's crazy. Zoun, he gets into the mineral line. He gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 SCVs. Zoun gets away. Very nice damage. And ByuN is committing. Sorry, Cure. Cure is committing. Rallying everything kind of across the map. He sustained quite a lot of damage here, but his main army is looking quite terrifying. Has a lot of marauders. Of course, has stim, combat shields. +1 is almost done. For a moment, I thought we were going to pull the boys. But does rally everything across. And behind this, remember, there's no splash damage, and there is no charge either. Charge has been heavily delayed because of all the economic losses and because of all the Blink Stalkers as well. Can Zoun hold? Can he hold on? We got slow lots. Stalkers, they catch reinforcements. Marines getting picked up. Ooh, blinks into Marauders, but nice control of the Zoun. It does pick up. But there's just so much fire here. Breaking through the front door. The gateway will fall. Within range of the battery. There are force fields available. Does knock down half the army. We just fight. We just stand and fight. Charge is now done. Diving on one of the tanks. He'll get at least one. He will get both. Yeah, both tanks will go down. Big surround here from Zoun. Resets the tank count. But there's still a lot of fire left over. And not much buffer. Heavy overstim here. We stim in. The army is so low. It's so low for Cure. Down to 3 Marauders. Down to 4 Marines. Barely a standing army. And Zoun is holding. Zoun is barely holding on here. I say that with more reinforcements. Cure is overwhelming. GG. GG gets called. Keeps on rallying across the map and barely has enough. Cure takes game number 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Curie does take a lead in the series. Once again here, very intense game. Zoun was hyper aggressive with his 3 Gabling Stalkers, and things got very messy. Things got very, very messy. We had the Banshee harass, we had the drop play as well. Was it 24 probe kills? Like 24 probes went down, meanwhile 17 SCVs, so there was just, everything was catching fire. In the end, Cure committed on 2 bases. I thought it was going to pull the boys. Regardless, 2 base all in out of Cure, and we saw that because Zoun was so invested into the Blink Stalker aggression, again, charge was delayed, and he kind of splash damage or higher tech units were delayed just because of not just his commitment but also losing all those workers earlier as well. So had a bit of a rough defense there from Zoun. Had some nice moments with force fields and he was trying to engage ahead of time as well, but his army was still very vulnerable to those Marauders, was very stalker heavy, and we saw in the end barely didn't have enough. It was close, came down to a handful of units, didn't have enough. GG. GG, well played. With that, Cure does claim a lead in the series, and we'll see if Zoun can recover and bounce back as we go from one 4-player spawn map to the other. Let's go. Let's go, baby. Spawning in the bottom hand corner of the Old Sun Temple, we have the blue Protoss player, the blue Protoss player himself, down in the series. Can he bounce back and make a series out of this? Representing on side, it is Zoun. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the red Terran player, the red Terran himself. The South Korean Terran representing Team Liquid, it is Cure. Let's go. Let us go. We are settling into our game here. We're settling into our series. Welcome to Old Sun Temple, where unlike the previous best of 5, this time we have close spawns. We have close spawns here. Cure bottom right, Zoun bottom left. We could spawn in any corner of the map, and last time we had a series here. We had a cross spawn, a diagonal spawn location, and we embraced a longer and later game. Here we could embrace something a little bit shorter instead, as aggression can be more favored with these closer by air and by ground spawn locations. First things first, scouting. So Zoun, he is going to be checking the top side of the map. And we'll see if we can find each other. Once again, when it comes to the Old Sun Temple, unlike Fear and Faith and Exarch, there is no like monorail system, there are no aqueducts, there's no tubing system to connect all the bases. Instead, we have speed zones, right? We have speed zones in the center, which allow for faster scouting. If you recall, in the ByuN vs. Trigger series, this also allowed for some very dynamic engagements in the center of the map as well, due to how centralized this location is. Oh. So here we go. Zoun, he will check the bottom right-hand corner. And we'll eventually find Cure. We'll find him. Let's go. As Cure does go for a single gas opener, racks expand. Economic start here by our Terran player. And now we can settle in. When it comes to the map itself here, now that Zoun is aware of Cure's spawn location, we should be seeing a bit of a safer build. I say safer build based on what we just saw previously. Zoun, he might just want to be the aggressor. Like, his solution here to current TVP might just be to be hyper aggressive and try to end the game early before things get too out of hand. We'll see if that trend continues. Zoun's playing a version of this his pre-patch style. I mean, kind of, like, bearing in mind as well that because the patch is so new, different players will have different levels of experience on the new patch. I think an example of that is Hero infamously last week was playing in some when he was playing in the GSL-CK, he had like 1 or 2 games of practice on the PTR, but the reasoning for this, it's a little bit different I guess for Hero, because he was playing in MOG, right? He was playing in Masters of the game, so someone like Hero had very little and very limited experience on the PTR and on the new version, because he was preparing for a big offline event. I mean, hey, it paid off. Like he did very well in it, right? But I'm sure there's some players that are like that were a little bit tentative to practice too much on the PTR because they wouldn't know what changes and what doesn't, and what goes through and what doesn't. And it's been like a week, if that we've been live with the new version of the game. So you know, there's some teething issues. There's going to be like a growth period, or like a period of discovery and acceptance. What are the stages of like loss? What are they? We're gonna grieve, then you gotta accept, then you're gonna move on, you know. We'll get there, we'll get there. As Kira does move out. With this, let's go for the initial marine drop. No Widow Mine's with this, bear that in mind. He's going for the initially vanilla marine drop in towards Cloak Banshee behind this. Okay. Does move out. This is just before the battery is ready. But with the battery finishing up, the sound should be fine. He should be able to engage. Yep, zones away. Sorry, winding it back here. It is going to be once again 3-gate blink. Same build as last game, going 3-gate blink into a robo on 2 bases. The one difference is that this time there is no Warp Prism. So this is a less aggressive variation. This is supposed to be a safer variation from Zoun. Just 3-gate blink into a robo into a 3rd. Ooh, as a Hellion does zip in. Yeah, slips into the main. Ooh, we'll lose 1 probe. Zoun setting up proxy pylons across the map. Yeah, it does warp in. Uh-oh. Zoun trying to push forward. There is 1 tank in position. Cure, he's somewhat ready. Got his bunker, got his tank, Widowmine as well to punish the blink. Uh-oh. And Zoun does take the base, but a little bit later. So a bit of a delayed expansion out of Zoun, as he did commit a little bit harder here to his Blink Stalkers. Does find a way into the main base and will delay some of the production. Catching an SCV. Gets a worker, not much more than that. Zoun is forced to be pulled away. And Zoun is going for a faster bay here. Okay, so getting into the mid game, into the early to mid game, you can see the difference between Zoun and Trigger. Trigger, he was very much so adamant about going for a very heavy gateway style, going into charge, into upgrades as well, being a little bit more gateway centric. Here we can see that we're going to be delaying charge in favor of faster Colossus instead from Zoun. Likewise, delayed forges and delayed upgrades as well. So later forges, later upgrades, later charge, earlier Colossus. So Zoun's going to try to build up his Colossus counts a little bit earlier on. There is going to be a window in time here where it's going to be a little bit more vulnerable as a result. Pre-Colossus. Just a different approach. As the Banshees do poke in. Observer's ready. And the Banshees, they don't get much done yet. And no damage yet. So far, he is getting away with it. He's building up his Colossi. Likewise, Cure is building up into his own stim timing. 3rd CC is on the way, so Cure is not being 2-base all in. He's expanding. Unlike the previous game where Cure was much more committed, this time we're getting ready for the mid game. Building on up. Secure does look to break out. Hoping to catch some stray stalkers here. And now we're just settling in. Zoun still does have that proxy pylon across the map, and this can be used for zealot opens and zealot run-bys. I spoke too soon. As it was found. Gotta be shut down. Never mind. Cure maintaining control of his side of the map, even supply blocking Zoun. Forcing out more pylons. Zoun expanding away from Cure. Does claim his fourth. And Cure will soon be active. As the upgrades are finishing, claiming his third. Zoun did spot this. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, accept. It's average ladder game experience. Oh no. Not like this. But yes, yes. Zoun is gonna work through his stages of grief. He'll get there, he'll get there. Smurge. Now I assumed that we were going to start to be active once that Cure claimed his third, but no, we're turtling up. We're setting up sensor towers, bunkers. We're fully just turtling up here on 3 bases. We did mention this in the ByuN versus Trigger series, but now we can talk about it a little bit more here instead. But specifically on the Old Sun Temple, it's 4 probe kills across the map. But specifically on this map, compared to Fear and Faith and compared to Exarch, it is very defendable on 4 and 5 bases. We spoke about it earlier, but here there's no harassing option towards the south side. There's only one main attack path. In the center, we have a very narrow ramp coming into the natural, and the other side, once again, we do have a walled off location, and we have the high ground ramp coming in towards the high ground base. So basically there's just 2 locations, this location here and this location here. 2 locations that defend 4 bases, and then you can take the northern 5th base as well. So the idea of turtling up here does make a lot more sense, and it looks like that's the approach that Cure is taking. As I would say, the map itself does strengthen defensive play compared to the other 4+1 maps. But here we go. Zoun is trying to be active. Okay, be careful. As Zoun, he's ready with the Zealot drop into the main, and Zealot run by on the top side as well. Cure will now expand. And we'll see if Zoun can find a way in. Second Robo's on the way, Storm as well. There are turrets and Marines in position in the main, so Cure, he's ready for the drop. Does find the Zealots. And Zoun it's looking like he's embracing this late game and just taking more bases. So 5th base on the way. We'll start to take more of the map. Zoun looking for another way in. Cure does have some units in position and does spot this. Does respond. Ooh, Prism gets shut down, and nice pick up here by Cure. Catching out the Prism. Planetary is now done. And Zoun cannot find a way in. Not like this. Not like this. Meanwhile, Cure at this stage is most likely going to turtle up until he gets into Liberators. We have the Fusion Core on the way, that's for Liberator range, into Ghosts, into Vikings, into Liberators, into just turtling up. Now that Cure has a 4th base up and running, which is easier to take on this map, that means he can max out. Cure can max out and refine his composition. As I mentioned before, this northern base should be the upcoming 5th base. We can see Zoun throwing down pylons to delay and to get vision. Technically, Cure could try to expand towards Zoun, I suppose. We'll see. We'll see how he does expand. We're going to be here for a while. We're going to... But again, that's just the nature of this map instead. This might even be the most defensive map in the current map pool. I'd have to double check. But I think it is. Yeah. As we have 5 more CCs on the way. Let's go. That's going to be for the orbitals. Second starports. Mass Viking production. +1 air attack is on the way. So Zoun, we spoke earlier when someone posed the question of like late game transition for PvT. We did mention how Tempest, that's usually the go-to as we do begin. Yeah, it does go for the dive. Does take some massive mind shots to the face. But Cure's out of position. He's racing on over. There was an opening. Nice damage here by Zoun. He commits. Yeah, does warp in, does commit, does try to end the game before we enter like a half-hour game. I don't want to be stuck here all day, Pappy. Let's go. Take out the storms. Oh, brutal EMP. Okay, EMPs connect. No storm. We mentioned this earlier. Someone was asking about storm in late game TVP, and storm and high tempo and storm, they do fall off. I mean, EMPs are pretty good. Oh, nice catch. Stops the chase. Disruptor production has begun. Zoun, he's refining his army. Again, switching into disruptors and thinking about said Tempest and Skytroll's transition. Thinking about it. Cure moves in. As Cure, he does overextend a little bit here. He's got a lot of supply stuck here in Vikings. He does have that dead supply. Has to blow away, has to respect those disruptors. Massive warp-ins. Cure backs up. Claiming his 5th base. And again, Zoun has all of top left. Has all these bases up and running, rotates over, and can Zoun deny the 5th? Yeah, Cure defending with half his army, no liberators, no siege units. Cure's getting caught out, and Zoun will overwhelm. Yeah, the CC is going to fall. Speaking of, yeah, it does get focused down. Cure trying to come in from behind. Going for the flank. Nova's going up. Ooh, does connect. Yeah, some brutal connections here. Marauders get softened up once again. Another Zelda on the south side as well, and Cure is being broken. He's being torn apart. Cure's too spread thin. He did not reach Mass Liberator. He didn't get there. Gasito, almost. But not quite. And with that, Zoun is out trading. He's out trading. Catching up more tanks. Picking up more Marauders. Here comes a fleet beacon. And we're making 3 Colossus at a time. So back in the Colossus, I feel like the Viking count is still quite high. No, only 4. Okay, only 4 Vikings. So there's an opening for Colossus. And again, Cure, he almost got there. Like he almost was able to stabilize and secure his 4-base setup, but in the end he was broken. There was an opening. Zoun, once he saw, he just went straight for it. And now Cure cannot get a 5th. Cannot get a 5th base. It looks like he's trying to expand with his army. Taking the southern 5th base instead. Zoun is in position. This is also where if we had diagonal spawns, like we could see Cure taking a 5th base much more easier here, but Zoun is right next door. Like what? Yeah, killing the CC. Cure cannot expand. Not like this. Oof. Picking up 2 straight Liberators. Massive pickups. Zoun taking more bases. Oh! Ooh, Nova doesn't connect. Barely not. Prism doesn't quite get in. And again, Cure might be maxed out, but he's maxed out with mainly Marine Marauder, right? It's a very heavy Marine composition. We need more Liberators, we need more Vikings. We're up to only 4 Vikings against 3 Colossus. Oof. Losing a Viking. Yeah, Viking goes down. CC as well. Massive pickoff. A little bit ambitious here with these Stalkers. Some expensive losses here. Stalkers being thrown away. And they're being thrown away. We can see Cure, he wants to be active. He wants to do some kind of counter damage. So he wants to force Zoun back home. There is potential. As Cure does catch a mineral line. Not bad. 10 probes. 10 transfer workers. There's no defensive weapon yet. Oh my god, that's a lot of DTs. Never mind. That's a lot of DTs. They're coming to defend. Do EMP. Their bases are falling. Zoun rotates towards the third base. And now we have Mass Liberator. Okay, we have the liberation zones. We have the freedom. We have the freedom, Pappy. Cure. He's getting there. Takes down a free base. 26 probe kills. DTs they rotate, but again, liberation has arrived. All these DTs will be thrown away. Yeah, they all get thrown away. Rough losses here for Zoun. There's a recall back home. Zoun, he defends top left, where these were some heavy losses for Zoun. Throwing away all the Dark Templar, losing a mineral line, 29 SCV kills. Sorry, 29 probe kills. We're getting messy. We're getting messy. Oh! Oh my god, the Medivacs! Can we get away? Barely does pull away. Blink is almost off cooldown. There we go. Ooh, blinks in. Gets one. Gets two. All three. Yeah, all three Medivacs. Heavy losses. You're losing all the ghosts as well. Oof. Rough losses for Cure. Cure, he plummets in supply. Zoun is coming. He's coming, Pappy. If the drop got away, then Zoun would be kept busy. But Zoun is done defending. Now breaking out across the map. Now pushing towards the expand. Oh. And we'll get the planetary. Yeah, planetary should go down. Massive pickup. Cure's trying to keep up. Does get one of the Colossus. Does get two. Two Colossus go down. Cure, he will re-expand. And what's keeping Cure alive in this game here is that Cure, he has so few SCVs. He's down to 37 SCVs, but he does have a super maxed army. But he still can't quite keep up. Not like this. He can't afford this. Losing 3 more Liberators. Yeah, some brutal losses. Zoun is not stopping. Going back in. Pushing on the top and southern side. He's pushing in back. Oh. Swing forward. Blinks forward, catching a Liberator. Zoun moving further in. It does move in, catching out another Liberator as well. Again, some brutal losses here for Cure. Expensive losses. Remember, Zoun has a bank. Cure's making 6 Liberators at a time. Jesus. They're coming. Nice snipe. Does catch a Disruptor. And does trade well with these Stalkers. Zoun overextends. Yeah, Zoun overextends. Instead, he rotates over towards the third. Does find an opening once again. We saw this opening before. Catching out 1, 2 Liberators. Do we get 3? Yeah, 3. 3. Oh god, but so many Stalkers go down as well. Yeah, Zoun is getting messy. Getting messy here. Zoun throwing away a bunch of supply. Doesn't have too much gas. Mothership is on the way. And Cure, with this fifth expansion, he can push towards the natural. He can push into the production. Uh-oh. Zoun's out of position. Zoun completely out of position here. And this natural and potentially the main base is going to go down. Zoun, what's the plan? What's the plan, Pappy? Recall? No. Nah, he's going for it. He will choose not to recall, pushing into liberation zones. Oof. Does not find a way in. Natural goes down. He will lose both robos. Yeah, both robos fall. Cure is pushing into the main base. Again, all the tech is here. EMP to make sure there's no recall. Zoun moves in. Going for the third base. Colossus goes down. Massive pickup. And Zoun could kill the CC, but that doesn't matter anywhere near as much. It does not matter. We try to have some warp-ins. Main base goes down. With enough warp-ins. There we go. There's recall. Okay, there's recall back home. And Cure, can he get out of this? Can he get out of the main? Does try to siege up. Massive blink. And Cure's trapped. Yeah, Cure is trapped. He should lose all the medevacs. There's just not enough bio here. We have more warp-ins. I mean, he's trading as best he can. But he has to leave. Yeah, he has to pick up. He has to get the hell out of here. Oof. Escaping with one medevac full of units. Oh. And we're getting messy. Set up the libs. He's setting up. Yeah, sets up liberation zones. Drop back into the main. Reinforcements have arrived. Zoning the army out of the main. There is Cloak. Yeah, Cloak is available. Curie commits this. He sends everything into the main base. Takes over the ramp as well. Base trade. Let's go. We're going for the base trade. Main base crumbles at the same time. Zoun, he takes down the 5th. This is the most important mining base here for Cure. True. The most important base. It's going to go down. 0 economy left for Cure. Ay, ay, ay. And remember, Zoun has top left, center, top right as well. Zoun has mining. Cure does not. And Zoun has done it. Zoun has done it. If Zoun was forced to fight into this army, different story, right? We could have seen a different outcome. Hey, the first storm of the game. First storm. Meanwhile, Zoun can just recall in. There we go. Recalls into the main base. We have a series, Pappy. We have a series. Slow zone on the army. Blinks forward. And Zanny's levels out of control. Likewise, Curie does have a pretty substantial force here, but GG. Yeah, GG gets called. Zoun, he will tie the series 1-1. We have a series. We have a back and forth. GG. Whew. GG, well played. With that, we are now tied up, and again, a very intense game here. We did notice that Zoun, things were looking a little bit dire early on, with Cure fully walling up and sieging up on 4 bases, but when Cure tried to take a 5th base, he did spread himself thin, and Zoun found an opening at the 3rd. If you remember the triangular 3rd location, Zoun found that opening, and that's where Zoun was able to break that position for the first time, and then Cure had a very, very difficult time trying to get a 5th base. He lost so many workers, so many liberators, so many Vikings. It was a very shaky mid-game there for Cure, losing far too much. We did see a really nice moment, a breakout moment when Cure dropped across the map and did some counter damage, but again, Cure, he was still struggling to maintain his own economy. At a certain point, like I want to say for 10 or so minutes, he was stuck with what? 40 SCVs? 37? It was like 37 SCVs. A very, very low worker count, low base count as well. Cure was all in at the end, and there were some nice moves, don't get me wrong, but he had no longevity in that game. In the end, Zoun did make the wise choice to not engage with the army. Just avoid it. Avoid the army. Just counterattack. Just counterattack instead. Go across the map. Knock down the mining bases. GG. GG, well played. With that, we're tied up 1-1, and now we are loading to game number 3. Going to be loading into Void Storm. Aye, aye, aye. A Void Storm is another map that did not make it through the Team Liquid map contest process, unfortunately. I was hoping that we could see more Void Storm in the ladder, but alas, didn't quite make it through. It is a rush map. Again, aggression is favored on Void Storm very much, so we'll get into it. Here we go. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Void Storm, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the South Korean Protoss. We have the blue Protoss representing on side. It is Zoun. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Terran player. We have the red Terran player himself. We have the South Korean Terran for Team Liquid. It is Cure. Let's go. Let us go. There we go. We're getting to the next game. We're getting into game number 3 here. And again, welcome to Void Storm. Void Storm has some very unique features. First things first, short rush distance by ground. From natural to natural, very, very short. You can just rush across the map. There are some defensive features here, like this ramp. We have some more narrow ramps that you can try to engage. Likewise, it is important that here there is some terrain that does split this section in half. So it does create 2 choke points, so you can take a better defensive position as an army does push towards your natural. But did you see something that we just panned over? Healing pad. Healing pad dead set in the center of the map of a rush map, pushing towards the bases. It is very similar on Rorschach. You could definitely argue though that the healing pad on Rorschach is still a little bit out of the way, so it's not as natural to actually utilize. But here, again, it's much more central here to the map, to the bases, and to main fights as well. So we do have that healing pad. Likewise, a low ground third, a low ground, both third bases are going to be on the low ground. They're going to be a little bit more exposed as a result of that. Again, some of the terrain here is designed to help when it comes to defensive positions, just because it is a little bit more choked up than we have seen on other maps, just to help when it comes to the shorter rush distance. Just to help. And again, this map was a part of the Team Liquid map contest, but did not make it into the ladder. Did not make it in, did not get the votes, unfortunately. Like I was hoping that Exarch would at least make it through, and I wanted to see more Void Storm, but you know, the public didn't really vibe with it. Neither did the casters or the players. But hey, it's in RSL. Made it to RSL. See, chat, shouldn't he have carriers by now? We did mention this earlier, but if you missed it, I mean, you may have missed it, but when it comes to Skytill's transitions, they're only necessary if the Terran player successfully turtles up. So if you recall in the last game, Cure was turtling up, he was getting up to 4 bases, but when Cure tried to get a 5th base, there was an opening at the 3rd, and then when he lost that 3rd base location and when he lost all the SCVs, like it was very much so a very difficult position for Cure. Like he was like putting out fires, right? There were just fires popping up all over the place, and it was very difficult defense for Cure. Still made for a close game, but Zoun was still successfully dealing damage. So in TVP, when that stops, like when that stops happening, and when the Terran player is actually able to successfully like turtle up and defend and build up their liberators and minimize losses, that's typically when you have to make that transition into Tempest. But if that's not happening, then you can stick with a more flexible, mobile like gateway composition. It's similar to ZVT actually. Yeah, it's similar to ZVT with Lingbane Hydra, where you can stick with Lingbane Hydra for a long time if you're knocking down Terran bases, but the moment that like the Terran player successfully starts defending and turtling up, then you typically have to switch into like Broodlord Infestor. But it's only after like the aggression is subsiding and it stopped working. For now though. For now, we do have our economic opener into our 1-1-1 follow-up here by Cure. Reapers did commit into additional Reapers this time, getting behind the mineral line. Breaks in. And doesn't get much done. Yeah, further into the main base, we do have a battery red setup. Sorry, this might have been a double gas opener. My apologies, I may have missed that. Yeah, it was double gas. So double gas opening here, but the batteries are in position, and Zoun, he will defend. Zoun, I would imagine he did scouts, and he saw the earlier factory. With that, he did set up in time, battery in both mineral lines, so he's safe and sound. So far, better start for Zoun, as the Reaper Hellion has failed to really get much done. Does heal up at the healing pad. Pulls away behind the setting up for the mine drop. And the drop is coming. Meanwhile, we got Fear and Faith in the top spot. I'll be honest. I said this when we went over the maps during the podcast, Stego. I can't believe I find it shocking that Fear and Faith and Washout got as high standing as they did in the public voting. Like that's crazy. Like I don't know what happened. That's insane. As we do have our mine drop into the main. Catching out one probe. Yeah, so far just catching out one. A nice defense here by Zoun. Behind this, did it go for, was it 3? Yep, 3-gate blink. 3-gate blink, same opener. Same opener every game so far. 3-gate blink into the robo, into a delayed third base. Same build, same opener every game so far out of Zoun. This is now claiming that third. I say same build, same opener, that is true, but the follow-up is a little bit different this time. If you recall, last game we did see a faster tech into Colossus. This time, charge is going to be prioritized. I do like this considering how small the map is. So earlier charge at a Zoun, followed by the Bay. Still, in the grand scheme of things, is going to be going into faster Colossus. Later than last game, but still getting there. Meanwhile, Cure is still amassing. Stim is on the way. Combat shields as well. We'll see how dedicated Cure is going to be when it comes to his push. As again, we're expecting something more committed and dedicated here at a Cure. I was flabbergasted, but it's not the first time the community votes has surprised me. Yeah. This is crazy. I mean, it's just different audiences, right? Like, different audiences, different perspectives. Oh. Secure does break out. Does break out again. Still waiting for his upgrade. Still waiting for Stim. Combat shields. Oh, darling, let's go. Do you hear the pulse? I think that's new. The audio. As one Stalker is going to get caught out at the same time, drops here into the mineral line, does go for the Raven Harass. Nice catch on one of the Stalkers. Up. Ooh, gets one. One Stalker goes down, Colossus arrives just in time. And with the help of the Colossus and with the battery, I don't really see Cure breaking through. And he tries to break in. Mine shot gets baited. And Zoun is holding. Zoun is holding on. Does lose 5 probes here at the 3rd location, though, and we have more reinforcements on the way. As over time, a second Colossus is coming. Yeah, Curie cannot break through. 3rd CC is on the way. Curie is transitioning. Building up into a 3rd. Tries to stem in. Emerald they tank well, but cannot get into the Colossus. Now we have 2. 2 Colossus have arrived. Now we can just shell away here at the mines, at the army. Hitting up all 3 mines, and Curie has to leave before he loses too much. You gotta get out of here. Stims away. A decent chunk of army can actually fit on there at once. It's crazy. Is this larger than the one on Site Delta? Sorry, not Site Delta, Persephone? I think it's the same. It's just we saw it utilized so we saw it utilized so rarely. They're all the same size. There you go. There you go. All the same size. But we get to experience the healing pad, Bappy. True. As Zoun does break out, Curie set up back at home. He's got his Vikings ready. You have how many? 6. Yeah, 6 Vikings with 2 Colossus. That's perfectly fine. Zoun rotates, and so far Curie's keeping up. Does keep up. But also big shout out to Avex in the chat. Bienvenidos, papi, bienvenidos. Avex. Anda mi mid, papi. But it's actually the map creator of Voidstorm. Creator of Voidstorm. So they poke in, catching at the turret. So far, in Cure, he's able to hold on. He's holding, he's defending. Now building up to 11 Vikings. Oh my god. We've got a lot of Vikings, Bappy. And now able to move in. Okay, that was 1 volley of Vikings, by the way. And now he's going to get the Colossus. Gets 1. Yeah, gets 1. Chasing the other as well. And GG. GG gets called down. Will lose the entire army. And Cure will take a 2-1 lead in the series. GG. GG, well played. Zoun, he was so committed, so dedicated there. And again, we were getting up to 13 Vikings towards the end. Zoun, he committed to the fight, and he would not win that. They would just found themselves committing to a fight that he could not win. And with that, he would lose everything. GG gets called, and Cure will claim a lead. We'll claim lead in the series, and we'll see if Cure can claim the series itself, one game away from claiming the best of 5. Let's go. Let us go. Is the RSL version of this modified from the current LE AVIX? Just said TLMC. AVIX can let us know. Let us know. The RSL version might just have like I didn't notice, but it might even have like RSL sponsors everywhere. Or it might have just gotten rid of the TLMC sponsors. Remember, the Team Liquid Map Contest versions have the logo of Monster Energy and Shopify all over the place. It might even just be removing those for the tournament edition. And over all the RSL maps. Proper ladder QA pass. There you go, there you go. But here we go. We're getting into our next game here. We're going to be loading into Necropolis as game number 4. Oh, as it looks like our players need a moment here. They need a moment. Winding it back, sorry, we kind of glossed over it, but Void Storm, it was quite intense, quite aggressive. We saw that Zoun committed to his own counterattack, but he committed and there was no way out of that, as he would lose all 3 Colossus. A heavy commitment to Vikings there from Cure. He was waiting for that fight, waiting for that commitment, and GG, well played. But our players are asking for a couple of minutes here, so we might just go on a short break. All the TLMC logos are gone. I added the logos mod, functionality, etc. Okay, there you go. There you go. Oh no, we're good. We're good to go. We're good to go. As we are loading into Necropolis. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Necropolis, we have the blue Protoss player. We have the South Green Protoss representing onside down in the series. Can he bounce back and force the ace match? It is Zoun. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. Let's go. Let us go. As we are going to be settling into game number 4. And again, we've had some interesting builds here out of Zoun. It's been all off of the basis of 3-gate blink, and a robo. From there, we've been rushing into Colossus, or rushing into Charge, or even rushing into earlier and committed blink play as well. So we've seen 3 different variations after that opener. We'll see if Zoun has something different up his sleeve, or more of the same, at least when it comes to 3-gate blink play. We shall see. Likewise, welcome to Necropolis. Necropolis is a bit of a more defensive map on 2 bases. We have the high ground here coming into the natural. We likewise have a high ground 3rd and 4th base. We have a low ground area here between the bases, which can be abused somewhat. But for the most part, I would say that the base layout here is relatively secure. We do see that the linear 3rd base is a little bit more accessible here when it comes to the entrance into the 3rd. But I'll be honest, I haven't really been able to cover too many games on Necropolis, right? Necropolis is basically exclusive to RSL tournaments, and even then, you know, it's at the whim of whether it gets vetoed or not as well. So I haven't been able to delve too much into it. Oh, I remember this map. Yeah. Am I crazy? But this used to be like a proper full wall, right? With these rocks here. Yeah. This was submitted into not the last TLMC, but the TLMC before that. I remember going over this map with Oreo. There were a couple of maps that I got Oreo on for to maybe like delve a little bit deeper into like some of the issues or envision how some of the games would go. I remember. TLMC 21 submission. Yeah. I remember. At the time, I remember talking about ARAXs on this map. But Araxes are dead, so... I remember discussing Araxes and the tank position here behind this this terrain. And how brutal that would be, and the need to like clear up these rocks ahead of time. But I guess one of the solutions to that was the now like timed rocks here with the Zerg debris. True. But anyway, we're settling in. Calming down, we're settling in. From here, it is going to be a more economic start here from Cure, going Rax Expand, single gas opener out of our Terran player. There's no crazy proxy or anything like that, as we have seen previously. Cure likewise also does scout the nearby proxy location to make sure he's safe, and Cure does not go for an SCV scout, and he does not go for a Reaper scout either. Instead, reactor to Marine. So very committed, very early Marine production out of Cure. With this can lead into Starport, into Medevac, into an early vanilla Marine drop. As we'll have an abundance of Marines early on. So we'll see if Cure moves out with Order Mines and the Marines as well. We'll see. Hallucination pokes in, Zoun confirms the 1-1-1, and confirms the Marine count as well. So Zoun does scout, does confirm. Back at home once again, going for the Twilight counts, Winter Blink. And we'll keep an eye on that gateway count. So far, 2 gate blink out of Zoun. We'll see if he does decide to cut some corners and be a little bit greedier this time. Oh, as we do force some friendly fire. Okay. Bit of friendly fire. Marines, they get softened up. There we go. 3rd gateway's on the way. So 3 gate blink into the robo. Once again, a relatively safe build here from Zoun. Opening up standard. I wouldn't count Araxes as just dead yet. I guess like we saw an Arax we saw an Arax between Scarlet and Innovation during Doyu Cup. We saw 1 Arax there, and we did see Oliveira do 1 Arax in the finals against Scarlet as well, with mixed success. very, very mixed. So Arax technically might not be dead, but it's like in a coma. It's like very much so in a coma. It's much more niche than it used to be. As we have a Widowmine drop into the natural. Oh, catching on a Stalker, not bad. Does catch a Stalker. Marines are left back at home. And the final Widowmine will not be saved. Oof. Yeah, not quite. Just keeping Zoun busy. Behind this with doubling down, going into Banshees. No cloak, just vanilla Banshees. As again, we're just settling into our game, just gaining map control, building up back at home, getting into eventually stim, securing our tanks as well. We have bunkers being thrown down, tank lines, just to make sure there's no Stalker aggression that can really catch Crew off guard. Just playing very, very safe coming into the mid game. So much more tame, much more passive start. Banshee pokes in, Observer does spot this. Zoun is fully aware, and Zoun is ready. Oh, and blinks in, the Banshee is going to fall. So some rough losses here, getting 2 probes for a Banshee, not quite worth it for Cure. Losing the Banshee, losing the Widowmine drop. Zoun getting up to 3 bases. Getting his gateways up and running. And sorry, something that I should point out here is that Zoun is taking a different approach. Every game so far that we've seen from Zoun, he has gone for faster Bay and faster Colossus production. This time it's the Bay after the gateway explosion. So much more Zealot heavy here. Much more Zealot heavy. Much more gateway centric. Still choosing to morph in all those warp gates, as opposed to Trigger's approach. Secure does move out. Observer does spot the move outs. Zoun is aware. He's here to slow this down. Oh. And doesn't quite get the medevac. Kira does pull away in time. And we'll see if Kira does attempt to push across the map. Still waiting for Stim. Stim is still on the way. Colossus production has begun for Zoun. Definitely didn't spend the entire NA qualifier on the Korean server. I mean, we had some NA players. We had Trigger. It's all good. He did well. I was very impressed with his play. Very impressed. Oh. As Kira does break out, losing a medevac. Trying to siege up here outside of the natural, but Colossus have now arrived. Zoun has bought enough time. Getting on top of the tanks. No. Yeah, tanks are exposed. 1, 2, 3 tanks will go down. Oh, catching out 2 actually. Only 2. Kira does punish. He does barely maintain that tank at the same time as Zella harass across the map. Delaying reinforcements. Keeping Kira back. Oh. As once again the tank does survive. Tank within range of the Nexus. Nexus taking a lot of hits. Zoun building on more zealots. Soon he can try to break out. And he's going for it. Yeah, he's going for the dive. Does rush through. Takes on the tank as well. And Zoun should hold on here. Cleans up the tank. Cleans up the ByuN. Yeah, just not enough left. Nice kiting here by Kira. Does pick up all the zealots. Uh-oh. Yeah, zealots go down. Stalkers are exposed. And Zoun overextends. Yeah, big overextension. He will lose everything. The Colossus go down. The Stalkers as well. There's 1 Colossus left. Some heavy losses there for Zoun. Ay. Expensive losses for the Protoss. Does save the 4th base. Does protect the economy. But those were expensive. Losing 8 Stalkers. Losing the Colossus. Kira still rallying. Now we have to calm down. Calm down, bad. And now we back off. Security backs off. He retreats. We're just building up. Claiming our gases. 4th CC. 2nd starport for mass Viking production. Armory for 2-2. The game will continue. The game will continue. Sounds like needs some time to stabilize. Kira's going to be turtling up. Now, I haven't really seen too much late game on Necropolis. I'm not too familiar with how defendable some of these locations can be. Oh. So we have the high ground here. Aggressive rotations. They don't look too bad here for Zoun, for example, if he were to try to punish the 4-base setup. I do feel like the base is a little bit spread out, and yeah, looking at it a little bit closer, Kira trying to get a 5th base is going to be quite difficult. The northern 4th base here looks a little bit more natural. We'll see if he does try to expand away from the Protoss, which is going to be spread thin a little bit more, but we'll see if we can hold on to it. We shall see. Likewise, Zoun is now switching out of Colossus into Disruptors. Disruptors going to be on the way. Refining our composition. 2nd Forge, more bases, looking to max out. And again, I was curious to see if this style would still work well here in TVP, like this mass economy, mass gateway composition. I would say the game on the Old Sun Temple was a little bit different just because Cure was broken early on. And everything just kind of snowballed out of control. We'll see if Cure can have better luck or better success defending on 5 bases here. As the bases do seem a little bit more spread out. Meanwhile, of course, Zoun does have control of the Zelnaga towers, making it easier to scout, clearing up the map. Trigger's in Korea right now. Yeah, he is. But he's still NA, right? Like he's still. You say it right now. Trigger's been in Korea for like 2 years. It's been a while. He's been in Korea since before Clem won EWC. He was left behind, Pappy. They pulled a Home Alone. Like Clem, Astray, and Future, they packed their bags. They got onto the plane. They looked around. They're like, "Hold on, where's Trigger?" Like, hold on. Who was in charge of packing Trigger? Ay. Left him behind. Oh, Zoun does get into the main. Yeah, Zoun does get into the main base. The main army does poke forward. Never goes up. Does splits. Oh, okay. Splits against one, not the other. Yeah, Novas are connecting. Some brutal losses, but Zoun, he will be chased down. Yeah, catching the Colossus. Colossus does fall. Zel's in the main base. They're still wreaking havoc. No major pickups here, but distracting and keeping the army busy. Keeping reinforcements at bay. It does keep them at bay here as there's still 2 Zelts in the main. Cure does break out. It's, again, mainly a gateway army here. There's only 1 Disruptor and no Colossus. Just pure Zealot Stalker. Zealots take over the dive. EMPs do land. And nice EMPs, but there may not be enough DPS here for Cure. The Vikings, they do nothing. There we go. Vikings forced to land. Reinforcements, they come in from behind. They get on top of the Stalkers. Very nice collapse here from Cure. Yeah, an insane flank, and Zoun gets caught out. Ay. Losing the Disruptor, losing the Immortal, the Stalkers as well. Some rough losses for Zoun. We got 2 more Disruptors on the way. 2 more Disruptors. Jeez, that's a lot of weapons. Can Zoun hold? That's both Novas. Oh, yeah, that's both Novas. They were wasted. Novas don't quite connect. So base goes down. Zoun needs time. And we just drop in. We drop into the main base. Yeah, massive pickup here. Cure dives into the main, going for the tech, going for the production. Reinforces towards the 4th. Or the 5th. Again, a bit of an awkward engage here for both players. Disruptors, they come in. Never goes up. Oh, nice connection. Yeah, Novas are connecting. Decent focus firing there by Cure. Does focus on the Disruptors. Okay. Yeah, Cure, he trades. He trades. Does hold his own at the same time. We do see Zoun gets across the map. And Cure F2's back home. He's F2ing back home. He is racing back home to defend. Massive damage. We're getting messy. 13 SCVs. Cure stims all the way back home. Zoun regains map control. Zoun still has these northern bases. He still has an economy. Zoun can still do this. He can still do this. As he's building back up, Fusion Core finally on the way for Cure. Into more Liberators. And Cure now he's stuck at home. Now he's stuck at home. Things are very chaotic for a moment there. And again, Zoun has some heavy losses. But Zoun held. Yeah, Zoun held on. Oof, Nova doesn't quite connect. Zoun has to be careful. Oof, as he does land the Nova. Yeah, lands the Nova, going back into Colossus. Again, maintaining a decent economy here of 71. 71 probes. Oh, but the gateway reinforcements are insane. We'll land some EMPs. Planetary does help. Yeah, we're trying to hold on. Novas, they do connect once again. Some brutal connections here on Marauders. But we're out of Zealots. Oh, we've been here before. Yeah, Zoun is out of charge lots. Trying to warp in. Still some messy trades here from Zoun. Does he have enough? It's close. Yeah, it's getting very close. It's getting very, very close here. Warping in more Zealots. He wants that planetary. He wants to break through. Not quite able to, though. And Zoun has burned through his bank. He's burned through his entire bank doing this. He's got to build back up. Likewise, Cure, he has a fresh mining base, now claiming another expansion. Finds the reinforcing pylon. And now we have Liberator range on the horizon. More libs, Fusion Core is done. I'm getting a bit concerned here for Zoun. As Cure is growing larger. Getting another base. We have boomers, so time moves fast. True, true. Feels bad, man. Zoun blinks into the army. Yeah, massive EMPs. These Stalkers are a little bit too ambitious, and these are going to be heavy losses for Zoun. Yeah, messy trade. The Zealots, they do break through. Colossus, they do a lot of in the back line. But Zoun, he lost how many Stalkers? 16 Stalkers. Oh no. That was a patience playing, because what that was. Zoun blinked into the army, losing 16 Stalkers, a Colossus and Disruptor as well. Very expensive loss there for Zoun. Again, we don't really have much gas. We can't throw away our Stalkers like that. Zoun moves back in. I mean, at least there's no Vikings. Colossus, they can reign supreme. Yeah, down to one Viking. And Curie may just have to give up. Yeah, give up on the base. Has to pull away. We have a couple of reinforcement Viking coming in. Gets one. Yeah, gets one. Colossus may get another. It's still quite close. Zealots, they arrive just in time. The MVP Zealots, they've made it. Yeah, Zealots have arrived. The Colossus, they recall. One of them escapes. And that's 19 SCVs. 19 SCV kills. Curie's economy is crippled. Zoun escapes with one Colossus just barely. Ooh. Viking gets caught out. Oh, he wants it. He gets it. Curie snipes the Colossus. He's crazy. Oh my god. Colossus goes down, and Curie, he might not have an economy, but he has an army. He has an army. Keeps on pushing. Keeps traveling across. He has to break through the Zealots, and he is. Yeah, there just aren't enough charge ults here. He does break through. Down to 4 Stalkers. This space is forfeit. And we see Zoun is going back into Colossus production. Fun fact, Cure is going back into Viking production already. He's got more Vikings on the way, plus 3 air attack as well. Cure, he's ready for the Colossus. He's ready. As Zoun, who loses another expansion. Another base goes down. Oh, Cure bleeding out some reinforcements. It's 19 probe kills. And 19 workers go down. Cure still has a massive army to work with. Looking to move back in. Zoun, he has re-expanded here towards the left-hand side. He does have 2 relatively fresh bases. 2 bases up. Zoun is trying to hold on, but again, he's lost so much in the process here. His Stalkers, now no more Disruptors. Only 2 Colossus against 6 Vikings. Real EMP. Yeah, EMP lands. And the Colossus are under threat. The Zealots, they do arrive in time, though. Yeah, more Zealot Warpins. Cure being forced back. Oh, Zoun, we gotta be careful there. Again, Zoun, he keeps overextending here. Once we run out of Zealots, we have to get the hell out of here. Has to pull away. Does have to pull back. That's getting up to 3 Colossus. Meanwhile, Cure making 4 Vikings at a time. And at least while this is happening, Zoun is able to distract the main army and get these bases up, right? They're fully operational, fully mining. Zoun is barely keeping up with those bases. Viking reinforcements have arrived. Wait, did we lose the fusion core? Wait, what? No, it's here. Ah, Cure. I was curious earlier because he has not started limited range yet, but it looks like he might not have noticed, so he's rebuilding his fusion core. Still no lib range. Still no liberators as a result. Okay, we're getting messy. Getting messy. Really, he just wants Yamato and lib range at the same time. True. The timing. As the game is slowing down, I do want to say this benefits Cure a little bit more, just because again he has built up a surprisingly high base count here. Cure's the first to max out. Yo, we're getting the medevac upgrade. Let's go. Funnily enough, he makes the second fusion core, but he used the first one to make the upgrade. God damn it. It's the Cure. As Curie finally punches his face. And cashing out 10 probes at the same time. Zoun moves in. Oh, EMPs land. EMPs punish. Cure back into the main. So let's force a recall. Recall's now on cooldown. Nervous. Oh my god, massive connections. Cure wasn't looking. Takes Nervous to the face at the same time, though he does catch 2 Colossus. Yeah, 2 Colossus go down. Did I say 2? He's gonna get all 3. Yeah, massive pickups. He may take Nervous to the face, but he will pick off all 3 Colossus. Massive pickups. Lands the Vikings. Cure, he will take this fight. No splash damage. Yeah, no splash damage here, but we have more Zealots coming in. Oh my god, there are so many Zealots. So many Zealots. Are there enough? There may be. Yeah, there may just be here as we run out of Zealots, so Stalkers are now exposed. They're going to start going down. At the same time, Cure dropping across the map, distracting Zoun. And Cure does take it. Cure does take the fight. It barely had enough to break through. Again, some rough losses here, and with that, Cure's done it. Cure's done it. GG gets called. Cure overwhelms, and Cure, he will claim the series 3-1, qualifying for this season of RSL. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Congratulations, Cure. He will claim the series. He will claim the series. He will advance on. Again, a very intense back and forth here between Zoun and Cure. And again, especially this game as well, it was 25 minutes, but it was almost non-stop action. There were a couple of lulls every now and then whenever players kind of reset their armies. That is true. There were a couple of moments where both players backed off and licked their wounds. But for the most part, a lot of aggression, a lot of intensity here. Cure, he was able to get away with a higher base count, of course, building up his own 4th, 5th, and even 6th expansion towards the end to be able to recover. Meanwhile, Zoun, he was unable to really harass too much. Like, there were a couple of moments where he was able to get away with like War Prism harass or Zealot roundbys, but they were few and far between. Instead, Zoun was fixating more on the main fights, and he was struggling in that sense. That's where Cure was at his best, where he was able to punish Stalkers, punish the Charge Lots, catch out the Colossus as well. And again, it was still very intense back and forth and very close up multiple times. Like, very often we saw the armies reset on both sides, and barely Cure was able to survive, able to build up his bases and punish the economy of Zoun. GG. GG, well played. Whew, and with that, congratulations, Cure. He will advance on, and now we have our 2 confirmed players here for the RSL through the Americas qualifier. Up first was ByuN. ByuN took down Trigger 3-1 to qualify for the RSL. Meanwhile, Cure takes down Zoun 3-1 as well, also to qualify for the RSL. GG, well played. Congratulations here to ByuN and Cure for making it through. Yeah, a YOLO blink if I've ever seen one. Yeah, there was that one moment. Patience, yes. Patience, the player, not that he was patient, if you will. But a patience blink is when you see an army and you blink into it. The importance is that it's not like you're face checking, you're blindly blinking into something. It's when you see that there's something ahead of you and you decide to blink in anyway. Like, that's a patience blink, baby. That's ay. Crazy. GG. Could actually have gotten double upgrades. It's fine. Especially if there are tanks nearby, then it's really a patience blink. True. I miss my patience, baby. I miss him dearly. But GG, well played with that. Congratulations here to ByuN and Cure for making it through into the RSL main event. My condolences to Trigger, to Zoun, Percival, who no-showed earlier, and to some of the other players here as well. Of course, they'll have another chance tomorrow in the Korean qualifier. Remember, today is the Americas qualifier, tomorrow is the Korean qualifier, the day after is the European qualifier. So we have one qualifier for every server, and remember, these are server qualifiers. They are not region locked, they're not region based, so you can play in whichever one you want, as long as you're awake in time. And of course, you will have to play with maybe some server disadvantages depending on which qualifier you play in. But we'll have a chance. So best of luck to all the other competitors here in the future qualifiers, bearing in mind as well that there's also going to be a Patreon vote as well. So !RSL in the chat, !RSL, as that is a link to the Patreon page where you can become a patron and you'll have the power to vote on your favorite player to be a part of this season of RSL. There's Patreon voting for the player and Patreon voting for the map pool as well. So there's a couple of things that you do have a little bit of sway when it comes to your own vote, of course, when it comes to some of the direction of the event. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks so much for the support. We do appreciate it. We appreciate it. I see in the chat, are there more games tonight? Not right now. Very quickly here, bam, you can see our weekly schedule. This is last week's schedule, my apologies. But our next broadcast should be in around 7 hours. In 7 hours time, we're going to be live with the Wardy TV Monday. Wardy TV Monday number 93 is going to be in 7 hours. So until then, I'm going to be able to get some food, get some rest, hopefully freshen up and get ready for a night of StarCraft. Remember, tomorrow is going to be the Korean qualifier, and the day after that we do have Pegasaur Cup and Kung Fu Cup as well. Of course, a big shout to Stegosaurus. I don't know if you saw him, but Stegosaurus is in the chat. He was adminning today. He was able to step in to help out with RSL and to admin this tournament. And again, Stegosaurus, he's also one of the big names behind the Pegasaur Cup. That's why it's a Pegasaur and not a pig cup, as a Stegosaurus is the dinosaur aspect of that opening tournament, so making sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible and does host the event. So big shout out to Stegosaurus for all that you do for the scene. And again, you'll see more of Stegosaurus in a couple of days with the Pegasaur Open Cup as well. So Stego, see him in the chat. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks so much for the support. We do appreciate it. Just catching up in the YouTube chat as well. Just catching up. Trigger actually got better from living in Korea, IMO. I mean, of course. He has since improved, of course. Been in Korea for a long time. It's catching up. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks so much for the support. Again, later on tonight we have Wardy TV Monday. Tomorrow we do have the Korean qualifier as well. Otherwise, take care. Take care of yourselves. If you want to support us, or if you want to watch some of the VODs, if you maybe missed out on Doyo Cup, you heard me make a reference earlier, but we were casting a big event in China featuring Scarlet, Innovation, TY, Neeb, and many others. If you missed it, YouTube is the place to be. YouTube is the place to be. !Socials in the chat, as all of our VODs are over on our YouTube channel. Otherwise, you can also support us via our own Patreon. There's the RSL Patreon, there's our own Patreon as well. Our Patreon does fund our weekly open tournaments on a regular basis, Sparkling Tuna Cups, and also our amateur events as well. So you can support us if you wish via the Patreon. Otherwise, follow us on all the socials, and we'll see you guys later on tonight or tomorrow for some more StarCraft. Otherwise, thanks for watching. See you next time. Ciao, bye, ciao. Hasta luego.